everyone. Welcome to Dialog Choices podcast. I'm a gay furry. That's Band-Aids ripped off for anyone that doesn't watch the essay. How you doing? The end.
Hello.
Send your questions to Dialog Choices podcast at gmail.com.
That was really. I can't believe that you managed to write a 3-hour essay for that. That's
I can't believe
the entire video.
That's the entire.
I can't
video.
believe the 3 hours. It's just really good. That is, I can't believe that as well.
This is our first podcast since I put out the Beastars video that I've been teasing for almost a year now, which had various spikes and valleys in being worked on because I kept getting demotivated and working on something else. Because that was supposed to be my first essay. I started that before I started the Annihilation script. Actually, the Annihilation script came together really fast. I think I wrote that in like a week. It's like that. I missed that. I missed.
You said you had been working it for 10 months.
Yeah, it was supposed to be last Pride Month. Like I did a little jokey like, here's my top 10 video game characters thing, and then it was supposed to be my Pride Month video. It was supposed to be Legoshi because I had this like little brain moment where I was just walking in circles for a while, just kind of obsessing over details that I'd kind of noticed, and like the clincher was like realizing the stuff about Gosha, and I'm like, okay, that's just so weirdly specific. I really got to talk about this. Like this stuff didn't come up in Jack Saint's video. Like this is I definitely have more to bring up than just like stuff that because I was definitely worried about just like I've seen videos on Annihilation and I've seen videos on Beastars. I have not seen any videos on Monster Hunter World, the Monster Hunter movie, but that's different. That's just tearing into something. So I didn't want it. So I always don't want to just like reiterate what other people are saying, obviously, intentionally or on accident. But that was when I had the realization. I'm like, okay, I got some stuff to bring up about this thing that I don't think has been brought up before, and we probably go deeper. And then the project kept expanding, where it's like, at the time, season 2 of the show wasn't out yet, so it was like, fuck, I gotta figure out how to spoiler gate this whole thing, where I gotta format this whole script, and like here's the half of the video that's about season 1 that people are currently seeing, and here's the half of the video that's about season 2, which would have been like me talking about the manga because season 2 wasn't out yet. So, and then I was like, at some point I just made the that video recommending gay comics, and just that quick video was like my Pride Month video, and I moved on, and was like, okay, if I wait, I can at least just talk about all season 1 and 2 in one block, and then I have to deal with like a weird division, because like having to format everything as being before and after a spoiler gate sucks. And I still kind of did that to myself again, because now I have season 2 versus the second half of the manga, which is what happened anyway. But that led to stuff where it's like, I really want to talk about Jack, but I don't want to start talking about Jack before a spoiler gate and then continue talking about Jack after a spoiler gate. Like, that sucks. So I just saved 100% of the Jack stuff till after the spoiler gate, for better or worse. And like, there's kind of stuff like that throughout there. Ideally, you can just fucking say fuck it and talk about the whole thing and just go. But you're gonna have really angry people if you just spoil all the stuff that hasn't happened yet in the show without warning. And if you tell them you're going to spoil it, then they're just going to not watch the video. So you still have to do that.
I saw some people commenting that they skipped the spoilers and they were still pretty happy with the...
Yeah, because it's like the last hour of the video instead of... Because they can still watch the first 2.
Mm-hmm.
And as we know, the large portion of video essay audiences just like video essays as a genre, and that's what they're there for. So like you could just like talk about whatever the fuck, and like if it's just like a thing in a sphere they might care about, then they'll just go. So it's like a bunch of furries are definitely latching onto the video that have never watched Beastars, and it's just the algorithm just picked up that demographic, and it clearly knows who furries are, and it's just targeting them. I'm starting to think that we're all chipped. But it's like spooky. Like a bunch of artists that I know are all showing up in the comments. And I'm like, oh fuck, tiny world. This is weird.
You say fun. Tiny, but at the time of recording, it's going up to 250,000 people.
Yeah, but it's been a trip.
I said 250,000 people. I meant to say views, but saying it people is different. It's technically not people, because multiple. I've watched like 12 times already, so
it's also like not accurate to say that like 200,000 people have seen my coming out, because like that assumes that they watched the whole video, which they obviously don't.
Especially
the
those saying,
average view duration is like 27 minutes, which seems pretty good by YouTube video standards.
Mm-hmm.
That does seem pretty good. That's
Yeah,
about
roping people in.
Yeah.
But if you turn the comments into a fucking word soup or a word cloud or whatever that averages the comments like an AI or something, then like basically it's like what is it?
Did you do that?
No, I don't have an AI.
That'd be it.
I'm just saying like if you AI combined all the comments into one
Yeah.
like amalgam, it would be like two divergent branches of evolution. One of them would be everybody saying, "Ooh, isn't he bi? This is bi erasure."
Yeah, so weird.
Which is just people not. Well, it's not that weird. It's people not watching the video.
Yeah, yeah.
They just respond to the comment, and they either then watch the video and then don't change their comment, or they just literally just that's it. They respond to the title and then they leave, which is how like social media and modern headlines have trained people to react to anything's title. You just yell about what the title says and that's it. That's like how news works these days, for example. And so that's just the experience really. But like that's like the most common comment. And then the other thing is people making like big 5-paragraph posts that are these big heartfelt things about how they cried and maybe they're going to come out and like all these other things, or like really like difficult to read things that are like it's really touching and encouraging, but also like well beyond anything I could have expected the video to do. And it's like it's like overwhelming to see how many people are really touched by the whole thing and like resonating with the story. And even people that are just like, hey, like people that are furries that are going to be like, you know what, this is good, and I'm going to stop being embarrassed by this thing that makes me happy, and that's really nice.
It's a very it seems very emotionally heavy to to hear people talking about something that is I imagine statistically not like a smooth process. So it is scary to like hear people say that stuff, and you just like it in the back of your mind. You're like, well, I guess I hope it works. Like, am I gonna ever know?
That's the exact thing I'm afraid of. Is that it's like I know I'm right. Like I know that what I said was right, and that what they're taking away from it is right. The world is wrong. So
yeah, like
there's the part of me that's always afraid that like statistically, if the video reaches enough people and enough people make choices based on the conclusion of the video, like someone will get hurt. And that is not a fun thought at all to think about. And it's like, it's not my fault and it's not their fault. But like, if a video didn't exist, they might have not gotten hurt. And so it's not a fun thing to think about at all.
I mean, I would
think of the other way around as well. Like that is that's the real impact is like
that's the thing.
I understand
the same
that
thing
you
I said in the video where you just have to hope the good outweighs the bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the counter obviously is like hiding from yourself is just as, you know, it's also hurting. Like there's not a road here of like a path with no pain. Like you have to hurt, but how much you want to hurt and for how long is up to you. It's like that's the tough part.
I apparently did a good job at feigning confidence.
Feigning
confidence that I obviously don't. Yeah, confidence that I obviously don't have if you're coming out at age 32. But like I sold the conclusion or whatever. But like what really happened is I kept showing the final chapter to people behind the scenes to just like work up the courage to even discuss it in the first place with various people, and then also like I also just kept revising it to remove more and more of the weak language, basically, where I was like qualifying things or like being half committed and so on. And like I didn't have a persona when I wrote the conclusion originally, and I didn't think I would have one. And so like so it kept changing in a more confident direction, even though behind this I was just kind of a wreck the whole time when I was building up to actually like I'm actually gonna like there was like I remember like the day of like I'm actually recording this part, this is actually happening, now I'm actually editing it, all right, now I'm actually uploading it, I'm just continuing this process, I'm not stopping myself apparently. And like it was a deeply stressful day where we went off to I said I wanted to there was a I feel like I think I saw it like in Yakuza or something, but like I heard about okonomiyaki at some point and I wanted to try it. And so this year was it we were like, oh, we should go to San Francisco and after the apocalypse is over and go to this one okonomiyaki place that we found online. And we keep waiting for the fucking pandemic to end and it keeps not doing that. So like 3 years later, we're like, all right, we're just gonna go this year for my birthday. And not everyone is fully like aware of the gravity of what was kind of happening behind the scenes. But like that was the day after I was uploading the video. So I'm like, I maxed out my data plan on my phone because I kept loading various things and clearing various notifications and so on, just dealing with the responses of what was happening constantly with that video. And that was before the fucking insane shit happened, because in the early days, the video was getting what was for me a very high viewership of like, I don't know, like 2,000 views a day or something. It was a chunky amount of views. Like, look at it go. Wow. And I feel like at the end, a week in, I was like, oh, wow, 50,000 views. This one, like I had little posts here and there, like celebrating that milestone. And then the next day I woke up to it being like, yeah, you got 30,000 views yesterday. And then that happened again and again for like an entire week until it's at like 200. It's like by the time this podcast goes up, it might be at around 250,000. It is tapering off now, but like the fact that I was so overwhelmed at the beginning, and I'm reading all these like intense comments and so on, and then fucking then it's something like, yeah, you're gonna get as many views as you've gotten so far, but every day. It was like fucking insane, just hundreds of comments every day. And I don't know how anyone processes at some point. The people with large enough channels that say they read every comment are lying. It's impossible at some point, especially if you respond to anything.
Yeah,
so I'm trying so hard to respond to certain comments that are talking about certain things without like having a hallmark placeholder response, which like there's like an almost like vaguely, I guess there's a pessimistic and an optimistic, not pessimistic, but like there's a shittier way to phrase it and a better way to phrase it, where there is like a weird templateness eventually where you see so many versions of the story that you're like, everyone is kind of the same person, but there's also like a unity in that where you're like, this is just such a universal story that, like, I mean, not universal, but like it's everywhere. Like so many people have had versions of my story. There's so many people that are like, even like not only just like my backstory and my age and and going through my experiences and so on around the world, but also like even the really weirdly specific things of like, yeah, I've been lurking in the fandom for exactly as many years as you have, and I'm just now getting I either just got a persona like a month ago coincidentally, or I'm getting one now because of this video instead of just sitting around. Because one of the things I pointed out when Enro brought me onto Furry Facebook, which is a thing, is that like there's like the realization of like, wow, I've been like using this fandom as like an emotional crutch without actually having community. Like it's like parasocial community. You were watching a community but not engaging with that community. So getting a Facebook like a month beforehand was like progress towards that. And now a lot of the community is finding me, and that's an experience in its own way. But like we just spent yesterday with 6 hours with a bunch of furries in VR chat as the 200,000, I guess, subscribers, not subscribers, views on that video celebration, which started as a 100K celebration, but then that wasn't the number anymore. And it was supposed to be a Discord server celebration, and there were people from there, a number of which are furries also, and were all along, and then also a bunch of people that are furries that joined the Discord because of the video. And we were hanging out in a recreation of a furry convention. And like that's kind of like the hints of like just interacting with the community, and that's like there's a value to that, but also it's also like a little bit of a trial run version of like, am I gonna go to a furry convention? Is that gonna be a thing that happens? Who wants to go to a furry convention? Yeah, I don't know. It's an experience. It's a really good community of people. and I wanted to get that across in the video because like a lot of the internet just thinks of porn basically. And it's like, and there is like a thing where it's like I don't want to talk shit about any of the adult content when I talk about furries because there's a value to that. Like obviously, like it was there. That's how a lot of people figure out their sexuality, and it's like when I talk in the my throat was already fucked before we started this, and now I'm talking continuously. When I talk about the value of representation of who you are and so on, and there's like those gay comics with the romance and the interactions and so on, and just people being casually gay. That's obviously like on its face, it means what I said it means, but also euphemistically, I'm also talking around the adult content that also does that for obvious reasons. And that's just the role that adult content kind of plays for everybody to some extent. And it's good that gay people and furries have it too. But because people see that stuff, they think that's what the fandom is, and it's not. But it's also not part of the fandom because like it is a sex positive like thing, and so they're people are really loose and fast to go to that stuff. And I think part of that is the anonymity, where people just don't have to be like guarded and shamed about things because they can just go straight to like, yeah, let's just talk about this, fuck it, and so they do. But it's not like there's like I kind of like I've sort of like even gone down a path of rediscovering the fandom and to some extent by following a bunch of safe for work artists on my Twitter, the public one, and also making the new Fur Affinity account for Marrow that also goes down the rabbit hole of tracking down like those artists that are like that I can present to like an all ages audience and so on. And like, yeah, it's infinite. There's infinite artists that are completely safe for work and so on. And they're very, very good at what they do. The real secret here of why everyone thinks of adult content when they think of furries is because they're looking up adult content themselves on the internet and then they find furry stuff there. Like that's the Venn diagram of non-furries encountering furries, is that they hear about weird shit on the news that is designed to be sensationalist and make someone sound like a weirdo so that they can like make fun of them because that's how you get clicks and so on. Or they're just people who are looking up porn, and then also there's furry porn in the porn because it's all mixed up in there. And then they're like, that must be what furries are. And it's like, no, sir, you're looking up porn already.
Yeah. I think there's a large intersection as well. Well, it's not intersection, is not the word, but like that happens as well to the LGBT community at large, and especially to trans people as well. There is I watched a recent video. A lot
of queer people are experienced exclusively through the fetishization of like fictional, often like entirely fictional, like scenarios that don't even feature the people that they're talking about even.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the thing is, obviously for the fur community, it's just a very specific face that even though it's not necessarily to be discarded, it's also like skewed. But like for trans people, it's like the whole thing about fetishization is not the same thing as acceptance, and oftentimes it was counter to that. And that's why you see like people from the United States Senate looking up trans porn while voting for anti-trans legislation and stuff like that.
Yeah. Although there's also a lot of insincerity in the Republican Party, where a lot of Republicans don't even. I'm convinced a lot of them don't even think what they're saying most of the time. They just like, it's just politically expedient and profitable to be a hateful little shit man, so they just are all day. Like that's what they do all day. Like and they because like Mitch McConnell and all these little shitheads, like they know better a lot of the time, very obviously, than what like they it's really obvious that what they're saying is a lie, and not just because it's factually incorrect, but because they don't believe it about many of the things they talk about all day. But they are professional con men. Yeah. And so that's part. So like when they talk about the hypocrisy, I'm like, it's because they lie for a living. It's not even like, oh man, fetishization is counter to the thing. It's like it's also because like they just actively, they're not sincere people.
But also like the problem with the hypocrisy, there's two sides of the coin. Criticizing a politician for being a hypocrite. For one, it's a vacuous argument because sure, it's hypocrisy.
Are we gonna talk about the Jon Stewart video?
Oh, I'm not
Did
sure.
you watch that?
I might have. I don't. What I was gonna say is that
I was like, it's just really on point for something I just saw. Sorry.
yeah, I might have. I might be just parroting the same point. The point is like what I was trying to say is that on the other hand, like you can't. You need to be aware that accusing a politician for being hypocrite because they're looking up trans porn on their phone and while at the same time making anti-trans legislation in a way that's like it's shaming the looking up of the trans porn, and it's like there's nothing wrong with that. Or the same thing goes with like accusing people of, oh, but you're gay or your son is gay and you're making this. Like it's important to like hypocrisy is
the
it
point
only
is
really
supposed
works.
to be that like, why are you hurting people that you're supposed to love? But people will then just be like, a gay person, let's let's shame them essentially.
Yeah. And like the thing that in politics that has the dynamic of if it happens that the politician in case gets ostracized from the party, then it's just amplified by the party, because that does happen. Like especially in the Republican Party, they're like who were I saw the other day the statistics. There was somebody who voted. I don't remember what it was for, but I think it was like it was a Democrat-controlled Senate, and there were 5 Republicans that voted in favor with the Democrats, and they were all basically primaried and gotten out of the party, all of them. And it was something like, I think it had to do with climate change. I'm sorry that I can't come up with or remember what it was, but I think it was something to do with climate change. I might have seen it related to that, but they will use that. If you accuse a politician, if you accuse a Republican politician of being hypocrite because they're actually gay or closeted gay, they will use that in their sort of like, what's the word for propaganda, or like they have a name for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
when you look
describing
inside the same
propaganda.
party. Yeah, but they like inside the same party when they're trying to get one. Yeah, that's not really what I was thinking of, but it makes sense. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. And so basically, you're just like feeding fuel to the fire that is inevitably going to show up, especially if it does happen that people vote the other way for whatever reason.
Everything's gross and shitty.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of it is very.
I'm thinking of all the people that like I've met that like fell for caring about what Ben Shapiro thinks because he just had such good zingers that he must be smart and right about things. And it's like in the discussion of overturning Roe v. Wade, he's like and then also overturn gay marriage. And it's like, all right, well, I don't know how anyone was ever convinced he wasn't just an out and out bigot, but that fucking just goes straight to it.
People will convince themselves of anything, really. Like they can twist their mind.
That's why I kept saying, like, if you think this fight's over, you haven't been paying attention.
Yeah.
People bizarrely are like, oh yeah, gay marriage is legal, black president, everything's solved now. And it's like, I don't think you understand what they're trying to do all day.
And the thing is, like, the argument, especially since you mentioned Ben Shapiro, the argument that it's the progressive side of the government or whatever that means that has been attacking the other side all these years because of things like gay marriage and abortion rights and stuff like that. That like the argument that
there was a progressive side.
Yeah, for one, there's that, but on the other side, human rights aren't attacking anything. You can't attack people for giving rights to, like, it's just on the face of it. You're not attacking anybody before claiming your own rights. You're like, that's like literally, unless it's like you're starving for air and you're in a box and you only have air for one person. If you claim your right of air, you're going to kill the other one or whatever. We're all living in the same planet, and hopefully the planet will continue allowing us to live in it. But like, it's so obvious that
I cut a very angry paragraph about human rights. That it's like, because I was just anticipating people being like, well, if you were in this country, you'd be decapitated. So it's like, because that's always the fucking defense. It's like, we're so progressive. It's like, we're not fucking progressive at all. Like, fuck you. Like, human rights exist or they don't exist. Period. I don't fucking care what some other country has or whatever. Like, shit is fucked for LGBT people in this country, and all signs point that for the next few years they're gonna get worse, and it's terrifying and it's horrible. And people having that shitty fucking patriotic reaction of like, oh, I can't accept that America might have problems, so I'm gonna say really something incredibly fucking idiotic and embarrassing like that. And it's like, human rights do not exist on a spectrum. They are a binary state. You either have them or you don't. And like, we are not chips to be competed over on a leaderboard. I don't give a shit what country is worse. We are bad, and it has to change. That's it. That's the fucking discussion. The end. Yeah.
Especially because
it's so frustrating because like for so many people that live in this space, just anyone that has any sort of marginalized identity, it's like why people get so angry and why they get so frustrated is the fact that like you're just waiting for people to stop saying no. That's the whole game. Like, there's just a bunch of idiotic, shitty people that are being awful for no fucking reason. Because there is no both sides of the discussion. It's just people making the world worse for no reason, and they just keep doing it every day instead of stopping doing it. And everyone's just fucking pleading with them to stop. Mm-hmm. And so they have like this, and it's not no reason. The reason is white supremacy and various flavors thereof. But like, it's just people in power that benefit from bigotry, and then just millions and millions and billions of people who are just dumb enough to fall for it. And it's because there's this incredibly sophisticated propaganda machine to keep the people in power that want to keep that power, and everyone else just convinces themselves that it's good for them even though it's hurting them. Like, there's no upside for them either to be a bigot, and it just makes their life worse. And like right now I have some furry friends that are visiting Tennessee. They're in Tennessee right now, visiting family, and they're experiencing what it's like to be just neck deep in the propaganda machine where everyone around you is just kind of terrifying and just drinking from the Fox News teat all day and just repeating the most worrying shit all day, all the time. And yeah, it's really bad. This country's really fucked. Jesus Christ. I'm only getting the portions that they choose to share on Discord, and it's really bad. What the fuck, guys?
And let's not forget, it's not just about being surrounded by people who are bigots and who are fed this, propaganda. But at the same time, it's the people who are supposed to love you. That's double the problem. It's double the effect.
It's the kind of thing that keeps you in the closet for a very long time because you don't trust everyone around you to react properly. And you don't know what to do, and then you can't take it back if you say it. Like, that's it. You don't know who will tell who, and so on. There's nothing more dangerous than being the only person that knows something, because you're like, oh, what a juicy little piece of gossip. Oh, I just got to tell one person. It's like, oh, that's a way to ruin someone's life, but okay.
You always have to share.
I just unplugged my... Fuck, give me a second.
You can't hear us.
I'm back.
Let's post all the furry memes. Oh, he's back.
I have a little bit of slack on my headphone cable that hangs off the edge of my desk, and then sometimes I change position in my chair. And
because you sit like a gremlin.
Nab it. Just rip it right out. I'm like, fuck. Kiki does a lot too when we're doing Let's Plays. She like decides, I want attention now, and then she like reaches her paws up and just perfectly swipes out the Y connector that plugs in both of our headphones. You're like, okay, do you know you're doing that?
Probably.
Yeah.
There's never been anything dumber than people being like, why are SJWs angry? It's like, because the thing I just said, where people like debate your identity and existence all around you, and you have to just grow up with these like states of like, oh yeah, you just millions of people voted against your rights this week, and they're gonna do it again in Missouri next week, and it's like just rotates around the country all day, and sometimes it's you specifically where you are, and then you get to live with the idea of like, oh yeah, just I don't know, like just a literal majority of people in any given room that I'm in are against me. and I get to just know that statistically because vote happened. Like if you look at Prop 8's vote, it was not a low participation vote from what I remember checking, and that was millions of people. That was distressing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but I think that ties in. That's like what I was going to say is
that mentality, though. We're not telling people no, and we only reinforce it literally every day that they're correct, as we like continue to let them just all unify and agree it's a bad thing. I don't know.
I think the legislation has a lot of power, though. Do you think? I mean,
clearly, because we can just reverse it and take away human rights. The very, very powerful legislation.
In shape, like from what I saw, the like 70% of the U.S. population defends Roe v. Wade or wants Roe v. Wade to be maintained. And
but that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter when legislation
I'm
isn't
convinced that
relative
almost
to...
all of America's systems are somehow perfectly designed to just kneecap the idea of making any kind of social progress.
Oh yeah.
Well, of course it is,
because it's so good at backsliding. Like how often does any kind of legislation actually happen that pushes forward people's rights in a serious way? And how often is it just, oh, the fucking Supreme Court just changed the country overnight? Because it's always the latter. And we don't have the Supreme Court anymore, so I guess we can just look forward to just fucking ourselves for the next 20 years, basically.
Yeah, I mean,
like we didn't get that's the problem. Is like it's both gay marriage and we even say it. We say Roe v. Wade. We say it by the name of the court case. It's like popular vote and the political system and politicians, none of those actually lead to the big changes we need. It's just 9 people in a room that just fucking do it one day. That's terrifying, because then they can just undo it, and that's threatening to happen right now. This country is so fucked in how it's made. It's distressing.
What I was going to say is that after the legalization, or actually I'm not sure how the terms go, but like when marriage equality was passed in the United States, I get the impression that marked a turning point in public perception of marriage equality. And I think
because what happens is things become legal, and then it's just normal, and then people just live with it being normal, and they see that nothing fucking happened. But then they don't take the next step that they should be taking, which is realizing that the people in the stupid glowing box have been lying to them every single fucking day about the apocalypse that's going to happen if this thing happens, and then not watching them anymore. They just keep fucking watching them, and then they just move to the next lie.
Well, they'll get it right this time.
Now trans people is the thing we have to be afraid of, because of the bathrooms, oh no. And then they're even looping around to furries lately, but then they're using the furries to indirectly scaremonger about trans people again, because it's always like, oh no, the gender neutral bathroom, and it's always like obvious dog whistles about identifying as things, and it's like there's always the next thing they can go after in the exact same methods, and they'll say all the same things. They'll mention grooming, and they'll have all to think about the children arguments and so on, and they just use the same arguments every generation against another group of people, and no one fucking gets smarter. It's insane.
Well, the thing is,
and then as we see with the Ben Shapiro shit, the moment they make any progress, they just want to go back to the last thing that they lost on and go win that one too. Like they absolutely want to go all the way back to everyone losing everything. Like everyone can go fuck themselves. All social progress they want to backslide through like a bunch of fascists.
On the one hand,
they don't even hide it.
There's the fact that the culture wars, as they're sometimes known, are a huge they're basically the only thing the Republican Party has in store for them, or not in store, but like that has going for them, because if they can't fear monger about
their entire political platform is inventing things to be afraid of, because
they can say no, we're actually going to raise your taxes and give the money to the rich. We're not going to look after your roads. We're not going to give you healthcare, and you're going to have to.
It's all distraction methods where instead of improving society in any way, they don't put forward an alternative to anything that the Democrats say that they want to do. Like they're like, oh, here's the ways we want to improve society. It's literally just here's the reasons why anything that the other side wants to do is evil. and then they just fearmonger that, and they just talk about tearing down all the things that the other party does. And it's also why, like, simple things like, do you like the Joker or the Last Jedi or something, like just weird culture shit becomes a political split thing, because that's what they hunt for. They have to be angry all the time at everything. So they get angry at art. They get angry about people's identities. They get angry about fursuits and pronouns and anything else they can get angry at, because what they do is they just take the shotgun approach where they shoot everything at once, and anything that sticks, anything that gets them some views, anything that gets them like more people showing up at their rallies and so on, that's the thing they're going to hammer home at. And then they're just going to go further and further, and just they keep perfecting the thought germ of how they can like make that specific argument stick and whatever works there. And like that's just that's who they are. Like, it's down to like the basic like predisposition difference between leftists and people on the right is that like they're, one of them is inherently curious and one of them is inherently cautious, and it's taken to its extreme of like, it's just, you got to make them afraid all the time, and that's just what they do. It's dark.
But make no mistake, the Democrats feed off of that rhetoric as well. Like, it's so, like, that's why Nancy Pelosi is like, we need a strong Republican Party, because the moment the Republican Party stops being able to scaremonger about trans people and black people and immigrants, the moment the Democrats can't win elections based off of, we're not the Republicans, because they don't want to end all the rights that they already achieved, or
because the Democrats don't want to do anything.
They don't want to do anything.
Win by being the alternative to the Republicans. But that's which is really bad, because you have one party that like radically wants to go right and dismantle things as fast as possible, and another party that whenever they get power, just want to fucking sit on it and just hang out like a dragon and do nothing, basically. Like, the fact that anyone said that Joe Biden was had like the most left platform ever, like, I don't know, maybe it was maybe his platform was, but platforms don't do anything.
Literally didn't.
Like, he was an embarrassing, weird cop apologist garbage man that created half the problems we're dealing with today, and is basically a Republican. But you know, I've been told that people in other countries are taught growing up that America has two parties that are on the right, and I don't know how to check that, but it really feels true that I absolutely believe that that's what people are being taught, because it's just the truth. It's just center right and far right. It's terrifying.
It's just Democrats are just Republicans who didn't want to be fascists, and that's what we got left with.
They're like, what if Republicans were Snorlax and did nothing?
It's not even that. It's they do stuff. They don't do anything for Democrats because they're not fucking Democrats. Like, that's the problem. They're doing stuff all the fucking time. They're just not doing stuff for the fucking core demographic, because that's not who their audience is. Their audience are more right-leaning conservatives. That's their fucking demographic. It's very obvious. Every fucking day, every vote, your president is a currently very obvious right-leaning conservative. Like, it's not a disguise. He didn't like throw a smokescreen down and trick you. He has literally voted that way for his entire fucking life. Like, Jesus Christ, guys, it's not difficult. Just move the party over and then ban the other part that's too far. You can just remove.
His entire claim to fame was basically being the safe, right-leaning, like, freaking, like, don't worry, everybody, the society's not being dismantled when we have a black president, vice president. Like, that was his role, was just to be like, don't worry, there's an old white man in power still. He's keeping an eye on that Obama.
While Obama was
basically who he was, and it's like,
while Obama was not,
that's not who I want to be president, but here he is.
And this is while Obama was basically not doing what he promised to do, and just basically
because he also wasn't a good president.
Yeah, he wasn't a good president because he's not a fucking Democrat. Just God damn it, guys! He
was the social progress equivalent of like more women drone pilots. It's like, oh God, no.
Yeah.
I don't care anymore. Nobody wants to accept the reality. They just want to win the fight. Like, people just want to feel as if they've won the competition, that they have saved the day, they have voted the correct way. But like, nobody wants to take a moment and sit and go, oh no, I'm the bad guy. I'm actually making the problem worse every fucking day. Like, every time, every single moment you live, you are just more problematic for the country than you are a solution, because all you do is focus up and then down when you need to be focusing down and then up. You can't you keep putting people from the bottom into positions of power that make things worse for people down below. And like, you don't think that there's just all these people. Like, you look at all of the senators and they don't just fucking appear. They don't just like get born in the Senate office and just become senators. They come from the bottom and climb their greasy way up, and all the while no one does anything to stop them. They just keep going. Every time you think something sucks in your society, it's probably because you didn't think about it and then voted for a shitty option. Your sheriff is voted for, and your sheriff determines things like legalization rights in your city, how difficult they're going to be on crime and homelessness, and like, there's just every little facet of your society is contingent on you having the knowledge and understanding of how it works and keeping it in check, because you are the check and balance. There is no check and balance system. Like, the courts aren't keeping a check on politicians. That's not how that works. You keep the check, and you are the balancing when the ballot comes around, and you say, actually, all you did last fucking term was sit there and shit on my dog. I don't really like that. I want someone who's not going to shit on my dog for an entire term. Can I vote for the other guy who promises to not only not shit on my dog, but also give me the right to kick ass of anybody who shits on my dog? Sounds pretty cool.
And like, then you vote for that guy, and then none of that happens, but he does shit on your dog less.
Well, yeah. Or
and that's 4 years, everybody.
Alternatively, you could legitimately find somebody who isn't following in this weird, I don't even know what you call it, like a fucking standoff where it's just you in a sandwich between two people holding a gun to your head, and they're both going like, no matter which side you pick, I shoot you, partner. Because like, that's what a two-party system is like, you don't get to choose, you just get to choose who shoots you, and you're like, cool, thanks, I guess. At least that guy's wearing a rainbow t-shirt when he shoots me. Progress. Like, no, you're not a Democrat. No, you're not a Republican. Both of you are just weird rich people who want to like get richer using a system that will just not tell you no because you choose the system that tells you no. Like, you get to decide if it says no to you. And it turns out people just don't say no to themselves. Wow, what the fuck? That's weird. Are you telling me that like a Supreme Court justice won't just say no to themselves being biased towards a situation? Why? That's weird. Wouldn't they like have an altruistic morality center core thing where they just don't have biases at all? What do you mean they're human? Fuck, they're there for life? How long do people live for? Fuck, they have free healthcare coverage? Fuck, this is a terrible idea. Maybe we should like not give them healthcare coverage and just not pay them, and then they could be just like us. They have to struggle to survive to 70. Like, it's not good. But no, I honestly think it is. I have seen plenty of actual candidates who make plenty of actual progress in a society locally, do good things, but you have to like work really hard because they are not going to be the prime candidate. Like, for California, for example, like Gavin Newsom is a really good Democratic governor because he does exactly what Democrats want. And that's not who you want to lead your state. Like, you want someone who does exactly what Democrats and Republicans don't want. You need to find that person that's so far to the left that the left and the right go, please God, don't fucking elect that guy, because that's the person who's going to actually do change that you need in your society. Because it's like that is the weird fight, is you need to fight both parties in order to make progress in your society. And like, that's a failure. It failed. It's a broken system. And it wouldn't be that way if people just followed the fucking Constitution and rewrit it every couple of years like it was fucking designed to be. It's fine though. Why would we ever codify freedom or law? Like, why would we ever do that? Why would we give any kind of legal standing to things like equal rights? It would be so weird, right? The forefathers would never want that. They would never want everyone to have equal rights. Fuck, man. It's stupid. I hate it.
I can give you a little bit of a perspective on how I grew up and everybody around me thinking of the United States politics, because obviously it's a huge shadow over the entire world, and so like everybody knows at least who the president of the United States is and sees them on television every once in a while.
Better know who we
but
are.
I think the biggest impact is always like or the biggest difference, I should say, is in the US, and I noticed this the moment I started following US politics. Every year is election year. There's always an election going on. There's always campaigning going on. There's always something to talk about that isn't related to policy and to ideas and to things that you can do. There's always drama. There's always nonsense going on. And not that the nonsense is nonsense for the sake of it. A lot of it is important. But I think in American media, you get an impression of American politics that is a lot more detached from the reality of what American politics is than the rest of the world. Because for the rest of the world, it's like maybe a couple of weeks in November every few years, and like it's usually presidential because nobody cares about the Senate, even though it's so important. But in the rest of the world, nobody that doesn't make big news. So they know who the next president is going to be. And I grew up with Bill Clinton and later George W. Bush. Actually, is this W for the son, right?
Yeah.
Or George Bush? Yeah. Okay. The impression that people have...
They're both named the same, so it's Bush Senior, Bush Junior, but yeah.
Yeah, right, yeah. So I think the impression that people have is almost entirely based around the actions of those presidents. And so whether the president is a strong president in the sense of doing actions that are important or for good or bad, what I'm saying is, like, for example, I get the impression that people generally think Bill Clinton wasn't a strong president, whereas they think Bush was a stronger president because he killed 1 million Iraqis for for oil, for example. But they also think Obama was a strong president because precisely he also continued killing a bunch of people with drones and stuff, and was very good at speaking. Obama is just a really, really good speaker that spoke well in an international audience. And I get that it's sort of weird because even today, like, people talk about Obama around my group of friends. The few times I have talked about, or we have talked about American politics, a lot of people just really liked his rhetoric, and it's like he came across really well on camera, I feel. Whereas if you compare him to what Trump was, it's just like so drastic that people don't even like. It's not even talking about the same thing. It's just what the hell is going on. But the actions are what counts. And I think more so for the people actually affected by the actions, be it things related to war or to exporting stuff or whatever trade war is going on and all that. Obviously, people who are getting bombed by America or by American allies are going to have a much different view of this than I have. I'm just saying that, yeah, I think when you say that people outside of America think that America has two right-wing parties, which, yeah, you're not wrong. You're right in saying that it does have two right-wing parties, but people don't even think about it like in those terms. It's just a generic thing. It's just like American politics is this president, and now it's this president, and now it's this president, and this president did this, the other one did that, and this one is doing this. And that's it. Like it is sort of different from how we tend to think about like Canadian politics or French politics or German politics. We always tend to be like, okay, it's this new person at the head, but what is their party? What did their party do before? How often did it? I think there's much more of there's much more thought being given to other Northern Hemisphere countries in their politics than usually there is for America, because it's just so centralized on the president. People just think of the president. So that's why I think the parties just take a back step. Like I talk to people about American politics and tell them the Republicans and the Democrats, they do not know what those words mean. Like it's very rare that people understand. If I start talking more, just even about the names of the parties, they do not know.
Well, yeah, that's normal. I don't know the party names for any other country. I don't I couldn't tell you what France's like right wing and left wing parties are. It's not.
I always second guess it every time I hear about the Tories or the Labour Party or something. I'm like, okay,
I do know UK's only because I do know that the Tories are the bad guys. I do know that because of the Margaret Thatcher thing, and I know that she was like the Yzma of the UK. And so like I'm aware of that, but otherwise that's just like one isolated case. I have no idea what anybody else does in their life. Some countries have like multiple parties, like more than 2, and just I ain't got time for that. They even have like weird names because it's in a different language, which is even worse. Like I don't know your language, I don't know what those parties are, and you have more than 2. I'm out. Goodbye. I can't tell you where they belong. So yeah, it's just so I get that. That's fine. I don't mind that people don't know how our shit circus works.
But it affects so much, though. The U.S. is, or was
that's
it up
your
until
fault.
recently?
That's not our fault. That's your fault for letting it affect you that much. You could come over anytime.
A weird way that the cultural and news and just conversation export that happens whenever America anything, including Hollywood and the news and so on.
You got every country can just say no to us. You can do that. You can say like, hey,
please,
actually no.
Because we don't have good politics to export.
Look at what they did to Panama for when they said no to you. Look at what
Panama's within our distance. We're not going to come and slap Europe. We're not going to do that. We don't have the resources to do that. We could barely handle the Middle East. People we were struggling all the time with that. Like the only reason we even upkept it was because of weird they bombed us, guys. Remember that? Like if it wasn't for that, that's why the original Gulf War failed. Is because we couldn't upkeep the support for that. I think Americans are actually very anti-war. We don't enjoy it. We don't really want to hang out and beat the shit out of other people. We want to talk about being tough. But the moment you step up to a fight, we're like, okay, look, let's talk about this reasonably. We have money and you have a thing you need. Can we combine that? That's how America works. So if you just show up and you say, actually, fuck you, and you put us down, especially economically, we will just cry. We will fall to the ground.
That's not true.
Roll around and cry. Yeah, it
That's
is.
not true.
If you deny it, if you deny us importing anything to your country, we will be so upset.
You'll blockade them. You will blockade them. Look at Cuba.
Yeah, we'll blockade you from us. We can't blockade you from the rest of Europe.
You're central to so many economic milieus.
That's the thing though. Is that's because you keep letting the dollar be powerful, which shouldn't be.
It's not just that.
No, it is that. If you remove the dollar and you replace it with the euro, you would immediately see the EU being in the exact same spot that the US is in. If you took away the dollar as being the most valuable currency, that's it. That's all we fucking have. The moment that we don't have superiority economically, we're nothing. We're just a shitty, poorly constructed amalgamation of states trying to look like an adult in a trench coat fitting into a movie theater. That is all the United States is. We are just a lot of kids standing on each other's shoulders trying to look like one really adult nation. And we're not that. We are never that.
You're thinking only about the government and the people. But you need to remember that the United States, especially in terms of international politics, is also the corporations.
Which again, you get to decide if they show up in your country. You get to say no McDonald's, please. Other countries have done that. They're the Middle East doesn't have a McDonald's. There are some Iraq and Iran just do not have McDonald's hanging out there. And I'm sure if someone asked, McDonald's wouldn't say actually geopolitical politics. No, they'd show up and just be like, here's your fucking McDonald's, dude. Have a good time. They don't care, but the countries don't want them. And you could all say no. You can literally just right now say no, and
that would not computing. It's cars. It's fuel.
Say
it's so
no.
Much...
Just show up
you can
to
say
your
no.
fucking goddamn UN Council and say, or EU Council, and say, you know what, guys, Burger King. We don't support oligarchies here. No more Burger King, and that's it. BK gone. Shut down.
We made it from video essay to colonialism.
But that's the thing.
I definitely lost the thread.
It's just the point is that a lot of issues happen because a lot of issues can continue happening because there is a strength. There is a view of both moral and objective superiority. The United States has this very big false impression about itself, and that weird impression somehow is exported internationally, Probably because of all of our media, probably because everyone just has this weird fear that we're going to do something that we definitely cannot do. And so we just get to be the playground bullies, and no one will say no to us. And the people that do say no to us, we're really good at saying, like, hey guys, you all have to say no to that guy. Like, you better not let that guy be a bully to us. And you guys just like
the United States exports its influence through pure run-of-the-mill capitalism. It's not anything out of the ordinary. It's simple market dynamics that are employed and enforced by other countries, like specifically the European Union, since we're talking about it, but not just the European Union. The vast majority of African countries have the same issue. The vast majority of South American countries have the same issue. And so what that means is, and I say issue here because that we're talking in the context of being permeable to American influence. So when I say American, I mean also corporations. So when a corporation says, we want to export steel to your country, and we want to do that at this rate, and you say, no, we don't want steel from the US because you guys have ice and you are freaking weird. Let's not do that. Then unless you close the market, unless you go against the normal neoliberal policies of just following capitalism, unless you do that, you can't stop your country from being influenced by those corporations or even by just the United States government. And the alternative then is to close the markets, and is to be either, well, I say close, but it's control the markets directly, which is to be, in the eyes of the US at least, communist, basically, because that's what China does, for example. That's what Russia does as well. And it's not I'm not saying that that's being communist. I'm just saying that so those are protectivist policies, and they do work, but they also have the problem of shrinking your own economy, and especially for country. And that's where the United States being so rich comes in, because the United States could do that.
We're rich because you keep letting us in. We don't. Yeah, but we are making our own wealth. Like,
it's a self-fulfilling prophecy because of the worldwide capitalism dynamics. But it's not.
But that's it's not weird. What I'm saying. It's just, that's what I'm saying. Is like, that is a lie that we have convinced you into believing, and so you just keep walking in step and following it. It absolutely is. Guess what? McDonald's isn't special. You can go, I'm saying you as in literally any country in this entire shitty, stupid ball planet can go and make a fucking hamburger better than McDonald's. They don't make good hamburgers. And guess what? People that have a McDonald's, you can just take the McDonald's branding off, and people will come and eat your stupid fucking hamburger. They don't care that it's McDonald's. Yes, they will. Yes, they will.
No, because the reason people eat McDonald's is because they see it in movies. They see it in American,
which all sound like things you can just stop importing. If you just stop letting Hollywood show up. Why not? Why wouldn't you? That's the thing. Because I don't understand. We're not making anything good here. That's the problem I'm having. We're not making some kind of like we're not making Da Vinci art pieces every fucking day. There has not been a single movie that we've exported to another country that's been what I would consider something to go in the annals of history worth it. There's no like masterpieces here. These are just fucking garbage bins that you keep letting us dump onto your streets, and you just like cheer for it. Though.
There's two reasons. First off, it's censorship, right? It's if you're gonna say you can't watch this movie, then it's just plain censorship.
I didn't say you had to censor it. You just don't have to.
Yeah, you don't have to.
You could say like, go and download it or whatever. I'm not going to arrest you. Yeah, that's fine.
But people will. But people will individually. But the thing is, even the reason, I think the biggest reason is because they will, because it's profitable. A lot of especially with especially with American culture, it's very profitable to sell American stuff. Like if you sell things from Disney, or if you sell things from Star Wars or whatever, like it's profitable, and that's part of the reason why American culture is so widespread, is because it just simply follows market dynamics. People will pay for a Disney toy or for a Star Wars movie, and so people sell those, and it's not any nefarious sort of mastermind thing coming from the US. It's just ultimately the economic system that the US has at home and exports overseas. That is just propping up the cultural influence that the US has.
I mean, let's not be generous here. We're not doing anything. We are contracting low wage indentured servitude in other countries to make products for us, then we then ship to you. We don't do anything.
Yes.
We subjugate other people, treat them badly, and abuse human rights to give you those nice Disney products that you love to buy. So, like, again, why do you let that happen? Like, why would you allow that to continue when you know that's the source? Like, it's not
because
like you're importing.
The systems tie the profitability of things to, or rather the other way around. They tie the spread of things to their profitability. So something is going to be widespread because it's profitable. And like I'm saying this in as obtuse a way as possible because it's so obvious that I'm saying more people will know something if that something is has more people looking for it, because that's ultimately what I'm trying to say here. When basically capitalism promotes the awareness of things that are more sold, that are more, and it's a vicious cycle. Things that are more sold then get more investment, and so they have more marketing behind them, and so they will be more known, and so there will have more people looking for them, and so more. It's a vicious cycle, and that's why you see the bloating of cinema, for example, and games, and like things unify, and ultimately it has to do with other market dynamics that also end up with in sort of like monopolies and stuff like that, but in culture in specific, it's just like that's why Disney has everything. That's why every movie out there is Disney now, and it's just because it's profitable.
That's because so we don't have a very strong anti-monopoly system in place because we have a poor political.
It's not just a problem with the United States, though.
It very much
Disney is bigger than the United States now, and has been for a while.
Yeah, because we let that happen, and because no one said no. We opened the gates to allow international business. Well, I'm not saying you as an individual. I'm always when I say you, I'm speaking to your country's representatives. The leaders of your countries have willingly just said
say no. They don't have the tools.
They fucking can. They have a block of countries that are stronger economically than the United States. The EU is a stronger economic force than the US, and that is like a very, very obvious thing. The problem is that I don't know why, but for some reason, there's just a weird incentive to not let. I understand
it's money.
That, but I'm saying,
that's the incentive. But the people who own the cinemas or the theaters, the people who own the television networks that broadcast movies and whatnot, the people who draw whatever, like all the people earning money and being rewarded for exporting American, and not just American, but anything that is profitable, specifically American media and culture, and it applies to music, it applies to everything. Those people get more money if they follow the money. It's like, it's as simple as this. It's not weird. It's like, just you need to tie that dynamic that is so obvious, because of course they get more money if they follow the money, to the fact that there's an alternative to that. How would there be a system that doesn't reward people for following the money? How could you like, that's what I'm saying. Either you censor them or you decouple. Yeah, you say you don't need to sell things, cultural things, to earn a living or to get more money. You're not going to be rewarded for this.
Yeah, you should decouple them. You should. You should. Your country.
Now we're talking about actual communism instead of the made-up one that I said before.
Your country should be self-sustainable. Like, it should be. And if it's not self-sustainable, then you work in tandem with other countries nearby to help support that, which is the UN philosophy here, or the EU philosophy, is the idea that together you can all bring yourselves up, right? You can all help share in all of your profitability and spread it amongst. Well, the idea here is that countries in the EU are presumably going to have an uplifted sense of economic wealth, because other countries are helping get them to the level that they need to be producing the amount of economic wealth that they should be to be part of the EU. So everyone should be generating at least a good amount of GDP here, and no one should be like a welfare state. And if they are, it's because they just need to catch up to you. Like, that would presumably be the goal, as far as I've been informed, that is the goal here, is that every state or every country in the EU is working towards being like a sustainable country and contributing back into it. That's the stated goal. Yeah.
But that's not the reason why that's not the reason countries are accepted or maintained in the EU. Especially in regards to the original ECC. or EEC, whatever but no, it's international politics, because it's a lot easier for a coalition of countries to form, to make themselves, to have good trading policies and also good working policies that allow the sharing of people working in different places in a manner that allows the countries to not like exploit each other as much as they exploit everybody else. And in regards to the EU, and it's one of the reasons why the EU has stagnated economically for a decade at least, is that we don't have like a very centralized government that, like the United States, for example, that actively pushes for economically exploiting other countries. And China has a government like that, and that's why it's growing and has been growing for the last 20 years so much, is because, like, look, for example, in Africa, and the way they export their economic influence is by basically exploiting African resources. And the American growth of the 60s and 70s is also related to that. It's basically taking over other people's resources, and after the resources have been taken over, it took over other people's workforce through taking your manufacturing elsewhere. Which in the case of the United States was absurdly powerful, because like that's something that I mean, admittedly, Portugal is a poor country in comparison to the rest of Europe, but the amount of stuff, to put it simply, the amount of stuff American people on average have access to, and not just have at home, but just have access to, is just absurdly out of this world in comparison to what I grew up with. Things as simple as home appliances, but also just the way you consume your food is everything is discarded. What's the word? Things like plastics and all that sort of stuff. Just like you have so much manufacturing attached to all of your consumption that isn't. It is unlike anything else in the world, for one, but also not just unlike anything else in the world, but people don't even understand how an American person lives in the rest of the world. Even here in Europe, they don't. Like it.
What? We don't live special. We live a very, I would say,
in
a
terms
pretty
of the
average
stuff
life
that you make and the garbage that you then create. Because if you buy things and they come in packages and all that sort of stuff, and of course you discard.
We don't create
stuff
garbage.
And all that.
You're talking about like Indian stuff creates that garbage, because that's where they're the ones that take our garbage. So it's their problem, not ours.
Well, that's the other problem. What I'm trying to say is and I'm trying to just bring it into the 60s and 70s, and why American economics grew so much in the 60s and 70s is because you needed that much manufacturing, and by being able to export it overseas, and taking advantage of lower. I'm saying 60s and 70s, but that's too early. But because there's so much manufacturing going on into the United States, you just get so much more profitable because doing it overseas is cheaper. And so that's something that the European Union doesn't have over the US. So I don't think, I personally, like, I'm not an economist or anything, and this is just my perception. I might be wrong about a lot of stuff, but I really don't see the European Union ever being able to win over the United States at its own game, because ultimately that's what it's playing. It's what it's been playing all along. It's the European Union wanted to do like the United States, but it doesn't do it because it's not a centralized government. It doesn't work like that.
You guys are in super luck, because we, the United States, but also China, are about to hit another recession. And, that's the best time.
I'm not sure about that.
You may not be sure about that, but as an American, I can fucking tell you, we are basically, the water is up to our knees in recession. The only people who aren't saying we're in a recession are people who just do not want another recession. Oh God, please, not another one. Third once in a lifetime recession, don't sign me up for that. But we are definitely in another recession. Our dollar is... our dollar is falling fast. The prices of everything has gone up dramatically. The wages have stagnated so bad that it's becoming almost inhospitable to live. Like, it is bad. We're getting to like almost a depression. And we have to, not to be rude, but we kind of have to stop doing business with everyone else. It's actually just not working out for us. We need to pull things kind of back inward. It turns out that exporting all of your goods, all of your business, all of your manufacturing to other countries incurs this kind of, how I say, middleman cost. that ends up becoming quite expensive to actually maintain when your internal economy wavers. So as people in the US start going, actually, I can't afford to buy fucking anything. How about I stop that? And businesses go, whoa, chotomate, I exist on this entire premise that like people are just throwing money like they can't hold on to it anymore. If you stop doing that, aka like how the pandemic hit us, we'll just collapse. We can't maintain that. Our growth is dependent on you idiots spending more money than you have. If you don't inflate the debt, if you don't put yourselves into economic poverty, basically, we can't maintain this like upside down pyramid. It just won't stand up. And and so that is what's happening right now. Like, we can't maintain this anymore. The people just literally cannot keep doing it. There's, like a huge chunk of the nation doesn't want to leave their homes anymore for work, which is like a huge hit for a lot of local businesses, for fuel prices, for like car buying in general. Like, there is a lot happening in the United States that's causing a huge economic issues. And it may all look funny, or like fine and dandy because the fucking Wall Street's all green. But just like the previous Great Depression, all it takes is someone waking up and going, oh, wait, these numbers don't add up. And suddenly you have a lot of red, a lot of people jumping out of windows, and a lot of problems for the next fucking like 20 years. And so like the US is not doing good economically. Our dollar is rapidly falling. We are basically like losing the strength that we've maintained for so many years with that dollar value. And the EU, if they're smart, if they really, really fucking want it, they could just show up and kick our dollar down and replace it with the EU. If the euro becomes the prominent dollar in the world, that's it. You did it. You finally beat the final boss. You have taken out the United States and supplanted it with what should be there, which is the euro, a dollar that isn't based on a centralized government that is woefully inept at doing its own fucking governing. Like, you don't want the US dollar there anymore. You just need that to go away.
I'm looking at the numbers, and the dollar in comparison to the euro has not been stronger since 10 years. Has not been stronger since 2017.
Yes.
So I don't know. You're saying the dollar is going down, but I'm seeing the opposite.
What do you mean? The dollar is less valuable than the euro.
Yeah, but like for example, at the beginning of the year it was 80 cents, and now it's 95. Am I seeing this wrong? Am I seeing it the other way?
Yeah, you're seeing it the other way.
Maybe.
So the let's see here.
Keith, help us out. You know economics. You took geography.
No, I don't. I'll be honest. Every time that the conversation turns to economics or geopolitics, I just hear ringing.
It's
like after 5 minutes, and it's been like 40.
Sorry, it's just it is a frustrating.
It was a very
experience.
heated argument where I couldn't quite tell what either person was arguing about, but also I'm like, it's a weird mix of stuff that's so complicated. I don't trust anyone when they ever say anything about it confidently, because I think that they might just be reducing the entire subject anyway. But also, I have no input because I know I don't know shit, so I don't have anything to add. I'm like, oh yeah, I know about Portugal, and also like the Russian rupee or whatever the fuck. I think I got that wrong. Ruble. They have rupees.
That's India.
It goes ding when
rupees.
You pick up a blue one,
India.
it makes 5 dinging noises, and it hovers over your head until it finishes playing the sound.
It's just the world is in a very chaotic state, and it is only going to continue being that way if people keep letting the source of that chaos keep being the dominant factor in the world. Like, that's all it is.
Money.
Like, money, but specifically money that's tied to the US. If you keep letting our money be the money that dictates choices in the world, all you're going to get is fascism. And you just got to kind of accept that someday. And you cannot, that's fine. You can look at Europe, and they're struggling really hard to like stop right-wing mindlessness, ranging rampancy. But, the alternative is not having a Disney product. And honestly, I get it. I would much rather have fascism than not be able to buy a Frozen figurine. It's just one of those decisions. It's hard to make, I guess. I don't know.
I have a headache. Would you guys like a viewer question?
Yeah, let's do a viewer question.
Yeah, sure.
Freed asks, do any of you own or have owned gaming accessories or peripherals that you A, wished there was more games to use in, or B, wished you never purchased because it was just really bad?
Oh, since we're talking about stuff that people buy for no reason.
Yeah. I bought the Rock Band travel drums, which were 4 separate drum pads you just lay out on a surface. Like they don't have like, because like the real Rock Band drums are like the full size drum set, but these were like just 4 things you could lay on a table basically and hit. And like,
okay,
I think I just legitimately have never used them. In fact, that's like Rock Band was my primary source of dumb bullshit I shouldn't have had. Basically, like it was only $20, so I can't say I regret it. But when Circuit City was closing, I went in during its closing sale, and like every day they slashed prices by another 10%, basically. And so I went in when they were 80% clearance, and that was the only time I went in. And they had the Rock Band smoke machine for $20. So I had like this smoke machine that like was in my life for like 12 years before I figured out how to dispose of it, because I'm like, this seems like too much metal and like hardware to just throw away in the garbage. But I've used it like twice. It had a thing that would sync up lights to music, and it had the smoke machine part.
That sounds amazing.
I think it only worked in Rock Band 2. I think it didn't work in 3 or something. And I immediately hated the part where it was a smoke machine. The light show part is like whatever. It's like the equivalent of having RGBs in your room that sync up with the music. But the smoke machine is like, this thing contains like fluid that I have to worry about now. And like there's like a refill thing, and it's like I'm always worried it's gonna leak or something somewhere. Like I hated that whole prospect. But like now the entire underside of my bed to this day is just filled with Rock Band instruments. I still have a bunch of them because I'm like, maybe I'll play again one day. It was my favorite game once. And when Rock Band 4 came out, I was in physical pain when I tried playing it, because I still had like 80% of the muscle memory to mostly play on expert, but I would just suffer afterwards, or even mid-song, just because it's so physically hard to do that when you haven't been doing it all the time. Like it's hard in your hands. My throat's weird. My voice.
Was it your right hand or your left hand that was giving you trouble? Oh wait, is it drums or is it guitar?
No, it's guitar. It's my left hand. It's the frets.
Yeah, that's something that I always couldn't figure out. People like, I played a little bit, and I mean, I suppose I could practice more. And I
press every button too hard. Like I don't know. Like I got like my hand, like my left hand will hurt when I'm raiding in a MMO, and I'm playing on keyboard, because I'll be like pressing the buttons too hard with my fingers instead of like. It's why it's nice to have Final Fantasy 14 on a controller, because I can just play on a controller forever. But if I'm using my left hand on a keyboard to do more than WASD and like 2 other buttons, like I'm trying to like hit hotkeys and all this other stuff, and like fucking like World of Warcraft has you sitting there hammering forever on like your number keys and so on. Like it always hurts my hand eventually. Like I always like am doing it wrong or something. Well, I remember that. I just remembered the fucking. I had a WoW thing once upon a time. I don't even remember which hand used it or whatever, or why I wanted it. But like there was I had one of those like little like mini keyboards that you play for, that are for like MMOs. That's like, it has like the WASD, and then it has like a bunch of hotkeys all around it, and you'd use it like separately from your keyboard, like off to your left, I guess. And that was like that's how I played WoW like fucking like 15 years ago or something.
But that was
weird
good though,
peripherals.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, that was fine, I guess. I don't remember if it was that much of an upgrade, but I think it was because I was trying to become competent at even using using hotkeys at all, I guess.
Oh,
because like one of my first videos ever on this channel was me silently playing random amounts of the MMORPG Aeon. And people were noticing that I was just sitting there clicking on all of the hotkeys the entire time. I would just WASD walk to stuff and then click on all of my abilities continuously with my right hand. And that's how I played MMOs for years.
Why didn't you notice you were doing something suboptimal?
Because it doesn't matter until you have an audience all yelling at you because people have opinions. It's like steak. Like, who gives a fuck? Like, we're all supposed to walk in. Like, I don't even like steak starters, but like, we're all supposed to have like this fucking lockstep opinion where we all like coffee the correct way and we all like steak the correct way, and we like all shame each other into sharing the same opinion on stuff, and it's just really stupid.
I like, don't share in this.
People export their opinions about art and food until everyone's like in the wrong and living the wrong life if they don't experience those things exactly the same as everybody else.
This is really weird.
I know it extends to like politicians and like, he ate the pizza with a fork and he put ketchup on something or whatever. Yeah. Fuck you. Let people eat food. I don't even care when it's like, we're dunking on Trump for it. It's like, no, fuck you. Let people eat food. I don't give a shit. This is what a stupid thing to judge people for.
Yeah. I know all of this thing. I know of this thing about having the correct steak preference, medium rare, something or other. Here in Portugal, we don't even understand what medium rare is. You don't even say stuff. You say
like Stephanie will be like, I don't even eat meat, and even I know you have to have a steak medium rare, and it's like, so why? And it's like, I'm not going after Stephanie. It's just it's this bizarre fucking
cultural
like hive mind shit where everybody has to like virtue signal having the same opinion about steak, basically.
No,
and it's like, shut up. It doesn't matter.
You should always cook your food. Don't
literally
leave your
matters
food.
to no one.
Do not have your food any amount of raw. That's a really fucking weird, stupid primate mind brain to have.
Especially if it's
you
big,
want your stuff
but if
cooked.
It's cow, it's less.
Cook your fucking
it's so
food.
Performative,
Stop
and I hate
having
it.
Rare anything. Cook your food. That's why we have a fucking fireplace. That's why we have gas stoves. Cook your food.
I like well done meat, but if it's rare and it's
I like
really
well done beef because it's in a burger.
Well, good point. Like if it's rare,
I don't even know if well done's the correct term for how well
done
is cooked.
Yeah, I mean it depends. You can have a burger that's not fully
grilled.
cooked. Yeah.
Don't do it. Don't have a burger that is not fully cooked. It's gonna taste bad. Don't do it.
Yes. Yeah, that's the whole thing. That's the whole point. That's why you cook your food.
I think people were going after me for my burger opinions recently because I said that I want as little meat as possible in a burger.
That is kind of.
I agree with this.
I'm always disappointed whenever a burger is like, surprise, there's 2 patties, and I'm like, I'm gonna take one of these out.
No, that's bad.
I didn't want a second patty. I want one burger patty, and it doesn't need to be that big. And I want like the lettuce and the tomato and probably bacon and like. Just I want like layers of stuff in my sandwich and then there's a little burger. That's why I like In-N-Out. They have small patties.
I agree with you.
And like I feel fucking like I feel hydrated when I eat an In-N-Out burger. Like it's a completely different feel from
the lack of salt.
The other burgers that are out there. Yeah,
they still have salt.
No, I know, but like not as salty.
Because there's a lot of green and not that much meat. And so it's really like In-N-Out burgers are refreshing somehow.
They're okay. I wouldn't call them.
Yeah,
I wouldn't call them refreshing, but they are much better than the average competition. Yeah.
I very much enjoy In-N-Out burgers, and I always order a single one. I do not want a double.
The important thing about burgers is you cannot put wet condiments on it. So tomatoes can't be on there.
Yeah,
fresh wet
tomatoes
lettuce
are great.
Can't be on there. No,
tomatoes can be, but
that's fine.
It can be any tomato.
Guess what? Nothing's stopping
you.
But they can't
be overly ripe.
Nothing is stopping you.
I'll take grilled onions or I'll take regular onions, but I want onions on my
grilled onions are fine
burger.
because they're not fucking wet. What you can do if you want a stupid fucking tomato is that you can take it and bite into it as you're biting into a burger, but don't put it on the fucking burger because you don't want wet on your stupid fucking burger.
That's it can be overly ripe. I mean,
first of all, there's a sauce that's going to be wet no matter what.
Yeah,
like the fucking like the mystery sauce that's like
it's not going to squish.
It's Thousand Island dressing.
It's good.
It's Thousand Island and something else.
I wouldn't identify it because I don't like salads.
It's Thousand Island dressing and ketchup mixed together. That's what it is.
Whenever a place has salads, I'm like, do you have greens instead? Like, do you have like? Can I just have vegetables? Everyone's like, you gotta have salad, is good for you. I'm like, I'm not being a little 5-year-old that's like, I don't want to eat green things. I'm like, no, I want Give me a fucking bowl of like sauteed vegetables or something. I don't want salad. I hate salad. It's like weirdly hard to eat and it tastes bad, and you try to flavor it to make it taste better, which makes it not good for you anymore. And I'm like, the vegetables are already good for me. Just give me vegetables.
Why don't you, if you add just a little bit of pepper, a lot of olive oil, and a little bit of vinegar, you're good to go.
What if I put those on the vegetables though, instead of the
it's
thing
good
that's
as
bad?
well,
Yeah. What if I make a good thing better instead of a bad thing palatable?
I feel, I agree with you. I just don't think that the vegetables are good when eaten by themselves. Salad is good because it's bland and you can eat it with other things. You can't just.
I like vegetables with or without other things. It's great. Yeah.
Well, I mean, usually.
I mean, my ideal meal is like there's some kind of like protein that is probably teriyaki cooked or something, or flavored, or something that's like the sweet and savory mix, and then it's with like sautéed vegetables over a bed of rice. Like just get all of it. Just get just a bowl of that from any that's why I like Japanese and Chinese food a lot, because there's a lot of meals that are variations of that. And you go to other places and you're like, I'm like, where's my fucking meal? What you guys are ripping me off here? Because you like pay like $20 for like some meat, and then they just come out with meat and that's the plate, and you're like, I'm sorry, I thought we were food pyramiding here. Like, where's my rice or bread and or vegetables all at once in one big thing all at once? Like, I'm so spoiled by how good the most entrees are at Japanese and Chinese places, where it's like you get everything all at once and it's great every time. So I'm like, why the fuck do other places ever not do that?
That's the problem I ran into with. I ran into that problem with Korean food. Korean food, unless you get the box, like, and have these like bento boxes that have like a lot of food in it. Unless you get one of those, if you order a specific plate where you're like, oh, I want some chicken, it's just fucking chicken. They don't give you rice. They don't give you anything else.
Chicken
just a plate of chicken, yeah. And I'm like, what is this? Yeah. And then like I had to be explained that like, oh, when you order at a Korean restaurant, you have to order for the family. So the idea is that you order chicken and everyone eats the chicken. You order the rice and everyone eats. I'm like, no, when I say chicken, for me, it's for me. It's not. I didn't come here to order for everyone else.
I got a version of this the hard way when I realized the hard way what a dinner plate is.
Oh yeah.
Oh, what is it?
I just wanted like katsu chicken or whatever, the breaded, and I was like, that sounds great. I don't know what it, and I just ordered it on DoorDash. This is like 2 years ago, I think, at this point. I open up the fucking container, the Tupperware, the foam or whatever, and it's just chicken katsu, like pounds of it. And I'm like, oh my god, oh, I've got to figure out how to eat this over the course of the next week. It's just like, this is my protein with every meal forever, because it's like a fucking like, this is a platter of chicken katsu to serve like a Thanksgiving. That's basically what you get if you order a dinner plate.
Wow.
Like, oh,
and you didn't notice?
I didn't realize what this word meant.
No, because here's the thing: here's a fun part about
the price.
No, because the price.
I thought it was a meal.
Yeah,
it wasn't that expensive
like a meal,
because it wasn't a meal at all. It was just one thing a lot instead of the variety of things you normally get when you're actually ordering something.
This is like the furthest,
just chicken katsu and nothing else, just filling the entire container from bottom to top. I'm like,
this is also very. This is like the farthest I'm willing to take this like tree branch here thread, but one of the problems with DoorDash is there isn't consistent pictures of every type of thing you're ordering. So a lot of it is kind of guesswork where you have to be like, yeah, that sounds like food I would eat, I guess. I don't know what it looks like, and God, I hope it turns out what I'm expecting it in my head to be.
There are people who have managed their DoorDash marketplaces much better and worse than each other.
Yes,
a lot of them are just lists, and they're full of typos, and sometimes they're just wrong, and like stuff's in the wrong like sub menu, so you can't tell if like, does this even mean what I think it means? Or are they leaving it implied that this is part of the subcategory that's within? So I should assume that it's a sandwich or something, or like sometimes it's just like, oh, seafood, and then no elaboration of what they mean by seafood.
DoorDash,
and other places it's like this lovingly curated like fucking DeviantArt gallery of all of their food. Yeah. It's like perfectly detailed.
you can see the difference between businesses that are technical savvy and businesses that aren't willing to spend the money on that and just want you to buy their food and get the fuck out. And
yeah,
it's fine, but it's also like, I don't know, I think DoorDash should be a little bit better about like offering support for businesses to like make sure that they have everything set up.
Charge that much.
Yeah, they're gonna charge as much as they do for literally nothing. I would like that they do something. Like it would just be a generous venture there.
They need to justify. They often need to justify the fucking cut they're taking more because they're not doing the labor or the product. But it's a lot of money.
There's a lot of middleman.
No joke. This is a no joke. I fucking like because I've. It's hard to say that I'm being lazy, but I am being lazy. But it's like a different kind of lazy where it's like I'm working so much all the time for different things that I often justify ordering from DoorDash because it's like but if I order from DoorDash I can get this video done in time before the 7:00 stream and then I'll be like hitting my quota and so on and like trying to like keep ahead of like milestones on one YouTube channel while also having the goal in the background of making progress on my other YouTube channel and so on. So it's like it's easy to just be like, I'm gonna work from home forever and I'm just gonna like I could cook, but like if I order DoorDash that I can get another video done. Like that whole trap. But you know what really cut down my my fucking expenditures on DoorDash is realizing is you know like when you're like an elementary or middle school kid and you measure money in terms of a thing that you understand. So you're like, this money is X number of video games, basically. Like a $60 milestone becomes like the way you measure currency. Because it's either like the thing, like if I do this chore, I get 1/3 of a video game. Or I don't know if I want to, I wouldn't want to get a speeding ticket in high school because that's like 4 video games.
My life
like,
over.
Like that kind of like approach to money when it's like there's one specific transaction that is most of your transactions, so it's like how you contextualize everything. Like my fucking thing now is like, oh man, maybe I should make a sandwich because if I order that pizza, that's like like a third of a Bork Thunder commission. like there's like I'm thinking of the price sheets that I'm seeing in my life for furry artists, and I'm like, I don't know, man, that art's gonna last longer.
That's true.
And so it's like ever since I got a fursona, my fucking DoorDash orders have diminished massively because I'm like, I definitely had a bad habit of like I was justifying it too often. I'm like, I don't know. The other thing will make you happier. Make a peanut butter and jelly if you can't have time to cook. Anyway, that was my distraction, but it was a funny thought. Sorry.
Yeah. Something happened to me in regards to food. I used to get takeout like once a week consistently, and I didn't used to. Growing up, I didn't used to do that, and recently I started. Recently last year, at the end of last year, I decided that I wasn't gonna be minding the money I spent on food anymore. I wouldn't care if I wanted something, I would get it, or not necessarily overeat or anything. So for a little bit, I was getting takeout like twice a week or something. But more recently, I've been not having takeout. I haven't had takeout in like a month. And I think basically, I think I was in a rut where because I was thinking of the money that I was gonna spend on takeout and being like, oh, this is gonna be quite a it's a lot more expensive than just cooking for myself or getting something that I can prepare quickly. But because I was concerned about the money I was going to spend, I was getting ready for, and I knew like I couldn't have takeout, or I didn't want to have takeout more than a few times a month. I was just like on that train of just having takeout. Either it's McDonald's or sushi or whatever.
You just like worked the assumed cost into your life.
Yeah, and now I'm just like, no, whatever. I still have sushi though every once in a while, but not McDonald's.
Really
anymore.
Good. It's really good, and it's kind of a pain to actually sit down and be like, I'm going to commit to a sushi restaurant today. So it's kind of nice
to any restaurant.
I would like this to just arrive, please.
Yeah, I don't go to restaurants. Not something I do, unless I'm out with friends.
But there's a place where I've what is it? Especially if I'm justifying a dessert, there's a place that I'll order from that'll give you can get an order of miso soup, an order of gyoza, a sushi roll, and deep fried Oreos.
Mm.
And that is you are not going to be hungry afterwards.
Yeah. Well, it depends on the portions.
Yeah. Sushi. It's hard to feel hungry after sushi alone. Honestly,
That's true.
for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't eat that much, to be honest, in general. Like
Mhm.
we have encounters with pizza where it's like somebody will order an entire large pizza. I'm like, this is just for me. You order your own pizza. And I'm like, oh. Like I get a pizza and I order like, I eat like 2 slices per day. And I'm like, how the fuck your pizza? Like I'll eat 2 slices and put the rest of my entire pizza in the fridge. And then I come down later that day and the other pizza is an empty box. I'm like, how? What?
I can devour pizza. I can go to family size, no
That's
problem.
insane.
Yeah, I can
It's
eat a
just
whole
like
pizza
it
by
doesn't
myself.
stop.
Immediately.
It doesn't stop. Like it goes in and it needs more. So
What the
just
fuck? I feel like dry and shit. Like I'm like, it's like shoveling down this.
just drink some.
Then get a
It's not dry
calzone.
anymore. You can shovel more.
Calzone's like a whole pizza but folded in half. Just eat the whole thing.
That's just That's a cow. Oh yeah, we were saying.
Yeah,
like
pizza is
yesterday,
just too
like,
fatty.
a calzone's too much bread.
Oh,
It can be a lot of bread.
The carbs
Yeah.
are the other problem. I have a problem
Those are
with pizza because it's way too much fatty things.
That's my 2 thresholds with food is too much meat and too much bread. I like bread in a number of contexts, but like I want bread to be like in a sandwich and so on too. Like I want the bread to be a relatively smaller amount of the overall thing, like because otherwise it's just like I'm full immediately, and like the bread itself isn't as good as everything in the bread is on average, even if it's good bread. It's like there's just there's even like disappointing pastries where it's just like it's too much of the bun or whatever and not enough of the filling, like the ratio's off.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a calzone is like it's too far. Like you got to go closer to Hot Pocket where it's like this like thin veneer around the filling, because otherwise it's just like this is like double the crust and there's already a lot of bread on a pizza. So like I don't need like double pizza, but only the part that's already we're already running the light on.
I've had double pizza. I don't know if it was called calzone.
Double pizza?
Yeah, double bread pizza. I've had that, and I think I would rather have that than a normal pizza, honestly. But it's just not very common.
Oh right, I just remember the reason we talked about this like yesterday-ish was that it was Monster Prom, because we had the fucking question of like, everybody name a food. It's like, all right, which of this is the worst topping for a pizza? And I'm like, I said pizza. God damn it. I said pizza. Yeah. So it's like if you put a pizza on a pizza, it's just a calzone. I lose.
Yeah. Is it? Wait, how does it work? Is it bread on both sides with the filling in the middle?
A calzone is a closed. It's. I think all the ingredients are identical to a pizza basically, but it's just closed like a pastry, like a. What's like an apple turnover pizza, you know?
No, but I think I understand the principle.
Basically, all you need to do is you need to take a pizza and fold it in half and then smush really hard on the edges.
Yeah, it's a gyoza pizza. It's like it's folded closed.
It's just folded closed, and just make sure it's really tight, and then that's it. And then you just bite into it. It's like
that sounds good.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's there's nothing.
You know what's surprisingly nice is when a pizza place sells sandwiches, because it's all pizza toppings. Like it's the same trick that fucking Subway does when Subway makes sandwiches, when Subway makes pizzas, and it's just the fucking it's a sandwich that they're turning into a flatbread, and it's like, wow, it's a pizza now, and it's like it's not that good. But the inverse, when a pizza place serves sandwiches and it's just made of all their pizza shit, that's a good sandwich. Like that, I like I don't know if they still do them, but back in college, especially when ordering for one person and so on, I liked ordering the round tables sandwiches more than their pizzas. That was like I felt like a life hack when I was 20.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Well, to answer the question, I don't have any. Yeah, I don't have the only peripheral apart from the controller that I have is my steering wheel and pedals, and so I bought a for those interested, a Logitech G27. I bought it used because buying stuff used is, because it's like a full on 400 euros new, and I bought it for 250 because it came with a stand, so it would be even cheaper if I didn't buy it with a stand. But the stand is really good, and I use it. I use that, and it's just I don't. That's the only thing, and it's I use it. I like it. I've been meaning to get a newer one, and for those who are uninitiated in the race of in the world of sim racing, the more you the more you spend, basically. Or if you want to, what I'm trying to say is, if you want to spend a lot of money on your sim gear, and we're not talking even like those G-force simulating cockpit things that have engines that move your chair and whatnot. No, not talking about that. Just the steering wheel. You can spend so much money on that. I was looking at my ideal
it's
setup.
Like that and fight sticks.
Fight sticks?
Fighting game sticks, like arcade
There's
sticks.
fighting game sticks? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, like the what you see when you go to an arcade machine.
Oh right, yeah.
You can buy that like tabletop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like a tabletop
but
fight stick.
My ideal, I was considering buying basically an upgrade to my current setup, and I was gonna spend 500 euros on the hub for the steering wheel, 200 euros on the steering wheel, and 300 euros on the pedal, and 120 euros on the shifter. That's the shifter that comes with the steering wheel, or it goes into the steering wheel. And so you can, and this is like on the cheap for more professional stuff, because you can spend like 3 times as much if you want. But then I decided to buy a new guitar instead. So that's been my plague. I was thinking of buying a new console last year, bought a new guitar. Now it's for the steering wheel. Nope, bought a new guitar as well. So that's my story, Preed. Sorry. It's purple though. The guitar.
Apologies.
Yeah. What about you, Andrew?
Probably the Steam Link. I bought the Steam Link when it first came out, mostly because I thought it would be a really cool idea to be able to like play my PC games on a TV in a different room, right? So I would have my computer and everything in my office, and then I could go into my living room and play PC games, or in my bedroom and play like them on a TV in there. And I thought that'd be really cool. But it turned out that Valve had made a critical error in judgment, and the Xbox One wireless adapter for their controllers doesn't work on the Steam Link. And so you cannot use Xbox One controllers on the Steam Link. And that, well, you can plug them in, but you can't play them, you can't do it wirelessly. And that is a no-go. Like, what the fuck am I going to do then? I'm not going to like plug a controller in wired. I'm not going to have like a 20-foot USB cable running from the Steam Link. So that is it basically just sits there looking like a cool piece of museum history, but I just don't fucking use it. Maybe I don't know. I haven't looked. Maybe someday, maybe they have like fixed that problem. But when I got the Steam Link like almost 10 years ago now, when I got that stupid Steam Link, it just didn't work with that. And so it was just like, all right, well, I wasted money on this, I guess. So I had the Steam controller, or I have the Steam controller as well. And I did it's really good for playing like RTS or any kind of like strategy based games. So that was useful. Like, I think I played this War of Mine when I was sick. I had like strep throat, and I just sat in my bed and played this War of Mine with the Steam controller, and it was fine. No big issues. That worked. But I don't know. Was it worth the money? No, it wasn't. But oh well.
Yeah, the Steam Link, was the Steam Link the thing that went on sale for $1?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember it going, and I was like, should I get one of these? And then the shipping was like $15, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna. I can get takeout for that.
I wonder if it's still $1.
Do they even sell it?
Maybe not. I didn't even think about that.
They discontinued the. Oh, they do sell it. Oh no, wait, they don't.
I don't think they sell it anymore.
Yeah,
the page is there, but I think they've replaced it with the app. So they have a piece. They have a mobile app now called Steam Link, and I think they've replaced it. They replaced the device.
Oh, that works on smart TVs.
Yeah. So you can just stream, you can just like broadcast it to your TV or whatever, or to your console. So that's how silly, right? I bought a whole little device that you can now just use a phone for, and your phone accepts the Xbox One because it's Bluetooth, so you can just do that. Wowie, how fucking hard was that? Just put a Bluetooth adapter on there. So. Oh well, It is what it is. But that's the only one I can think of. I don't really go out of my way. I guess like the second worst peripheral I own is the mouse for the Super Nintendo. Like that was a waste.
It sounds like it.
It can only
I just
be.
remembered something expensive that I've like never used before.
Go for it.
It was the Vita TV.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
The console version of the PlayStation Vita, essentially, which was like almost forward thinking in that like the Switch happened like shortly thereafter, I think. But like its support was bad, and like there was a number of games that it should have been fine to use, but they just did blocked for various reasons. Maybe because they didn't have the rights to like put it on what was technically a new console, even though it wasn't, or whatever, or like. There was, or like a game that might have like 2 seconds of a motion control, like the entire game's blocked. Then like it was like they made a console that has all these like touch pads and blow on the microphone, all these stupid elements, and then like that like ruined the prospect of the idea of having something like that, because then all of the games that did actually use any of those systems then couldn't be used on the Vita TV, so you couldn't play huge numbers of games. But I got it because I thought I would use it for my job, because then I could suddenly record Vita games because it had an HDMI output and so on. It's like, oh, I can use handhelds. At one point, I thought that was going to be how I would cover Persona 4 once upon a time, I think, and so on. And it's like,
before it came out,
that
on
thing,
PC?
I don't think I've ever played a single game on that thing. Like for beyond the opening testing I did, basically. Like I've just not, and I've had that for ages now. It was just a complete waste of time and money, and it's probably still here somewhere because it was very small.
And it costs a lot of money because it's like a whole console, right?
Yeah,
like it's a Vita without
like 100 or something. I forget.
Yeah,
but it was bad. It was just not a good system, and not good for my purposes either.
Sucks. See, this is what I'm talking about. Americans buy all this stuff. And then you're surprised that you make a lot of garbage. Your Vita TVs and your Nintendo mouse.
Yeah, those are the least garbage.
We have entire holidays that are built around buying people stuff that they probably won't even like, and it's like the peak of buying every year. Is that I still don't like Christmas as a concept. I just don't like it. People aren't. I think most relationships people have with each other just aren't that good.
Are you insinuating you would prefer pagan holidays, Keith? This is a Christian nation. I would implore you to reconsider your decisions.
I'm not asking for a replacement. I'm asking for just don't.
It's already been replaced. It's not a religious holiday.
I think Christmas is mostly just kind of like bad for us.
The absence of a holiday is a pagan holiday, Keith.
A huge percentage of us are stuck working jobs that make you miserable for that entire part of the year, and it's like a month of being miserable. And it's all in service of a bunch of people that don't have that strong of connections to each other, all like politely buying things for each other that they won't want, and then we all just create waste afterwards. Like this year I got like a light that is like a hologram light, like one of those ones where it's a piece of like plastic that sticks up out of a stand and it just lights up, and it just said like now live or something with like the Twitch logo. And nice. Like, where am I gonna put this? Like, what am I gonna do with this? It's not. And it's and like all weird, shitty, kitschy gadgets these days. It has a USB plug and only that. Like you have to. Everything's just assumed you plug it into a USB these days. And it's like, well, now I've got a weird piece of waste to feel bad about when I throw out, because like, what am I gonna do?
You gotta build a set.
Every
you gotta
year
build a little set for your.
It was not good. It was not the set worthy.
Oh yeah, it is. It's definitely set.
It was like 2 inches tall, like and like 6 to 8 inches long, and it sits on like a stand. Like it's not like a fucking like a neon sign I put on my wall for my set or whatever. Like it was just a little piece of garbage.
Everything's useful. Just make the most cluttered set of junk.
I think the other.
That's why they say the gesture
years
is
ago
what
they
matters.
gave me like a ring light or something. And it's like I appreciate this in concept, I guess, but like I have hundreds of dollars of lights. It was like you get vague. You either get stuff that's based on a vague interest in a piece of media you once mentioned 5 years ago, and then you get Doctor Who shit every year forever, or it's like, oh, you're a streamer or whatever, or you do YouTube. Here's what's in the Best Buy aisle for YouTubers. It's like how I know people that are really into aquariums and fish and stuff, and I'm like, but I don't buy them stuff related to that stuff because I'm like, I know that I don't know nearly enough to even begin to buy them anything for this. So I'm either going to buy them something completely useless or something that they already have, and those are the only two options. But I get that constantly for my interests, and it's like, oh, this isn't. Why are we doing? Why are we're stressing ourselves out buying people stuff on this big list where you try to completionism your list of associates of people that it's like socially correct to be buying stuff for, and it's all almost entirely garbage and almost nobody gets what they want. And I say that as somebody who I think has a better batting average than most on the actual gift giving. It's the ones I receive. Oh my god. It's like I don't think this is a good, like, just talking about Colonel's like approach to like talking about how like Americans consumerism and stuff. I'm like, I don't think this whole December is working out for us. I don't think that's a great. I don't know about that, man. I think birthdays are a better approach because at least you're buying one person a gift instead of like, Christmas is like, here's my 2 really good ideas, and then everybody else is like, ah, fuck, I'm trying to make my way down the list now, running out of time. If this was on sale, maybe I can get it. Sometimes you just buy things because they're on sale and you try to apply them to somebody on the list of people you still need to apply a gift to. Like, it's not a good system. It's not a good
That's
system.
why I go for chocolates. Yeah, that's it. That's what I give. Chocolates.
Yeah.
Which is also terrible.
It goes
because
away.
It's the chocolate industry.
Yeah, but like food goes away in a way that it gets used, as opposed to going away because you're like, oh, I gotta get rid of all this shit people keep giving me. I don't need 10 blankets, as it turns out. My life is one like 10 foot by 15 foot room. Like, pretty much need the one blanket. And I'm done. Don't need like.
Also, you live in California. You don't need blankets.
Yeah, I genuinely can't use any covers sometimes because it's just miserable. I don't need like a third set of like slippers. I don't even use one set of slippers. Like, it's exceptionally hard to buy me gifts because they have no. Most of the things that people even try to think of buying just don't have a place in my life, and both like because I won't use them, and also I physically don't know where to put it.
Okay, here's an idea: a statue of Legoshi that is made of chocolate and is already unwrapped, so you cannot save it. You need to eat it. I
feel like I'm opening up a whole new avenue. It'll be like furry commissions. They solve all the problems. It's art of the character that I like, and it doesn't go anywhere. It's just on the internet.
It doesn't fill up space.
I have infinite gallery space on Fur Affinity.
It gives money to people who need it instead of to big corporations and trucks.
But then there's the part where I don't want to talk to any of my family about being a furry. That don't want to have that conversation. Because, like, one, the fucking all the media they consume just lies to them about furries. And also, they still don't understand what I do for a living. They think I do a podcast. That's the level of understanding. And they only understand the podcast part because Joe Rogan does one. Like, that's it.
Oh no.
It's just like they understand what Joe Rogan is, so they can understand the idea that I do a podcast, but everything else, like, I literally restart the same conversation every time. There's like a variety of people in my life, both family and acquaintance and so on, where like we literally every time we have where they try to start the conversation politely or not about like what my living is, the conversation just starts from scratch, like we've never talked about it before, because none of it sticks because it's so alien to them. So good luck explaining furries to those people.
Why is it alien though? Like I'm not doubting that you're saying, or I'm not, but do they? Oh, maybe I am actually when I say, why is it alien though? I find it a little bit like people know what YouTube is, right?
Sort of.
Not that well.
Oh, yeah, I think that's the problem.
Like they know it tangentially. Going to somebody else's house and going on their smart TV and opening YouTube and just seeing what the feed is of like searches that just shows up on the side of the screen. Like without typing in anything, it just shows all of their most recent searches, and they're like meat, steak, cooking, grill. Like it's like a lot of people interact with YouTube the way that like I do when I need to solve a tech problem. But like that's like they're just down this like search cat videos. Like it's just like this like very specific funneling, and like they probably don't have an account or like know that creators exist as like a thing you follow. It's just like a lot of older people in particular, like, and Republicans, they use YouTube the same way that infants do. Like the same algorithm hole that puts infants down the Elsa pregnant Spider-Man Barry Joker alive water toys hole. Like that's basically how like 50 and 60-year-olds use YouTube also, is that like they kind of find one thing they search for once, but also half of it is just like it just starts throwing shit in front of them as an endless feed of algorithmically generated bullshit, and they just kind of like it just kind of auto plays or whatever, and they pay attention or they don't, and then they leave eventually, and then they come back later and it happens again. Like, and that's the level of like, it's a mixture of like the level of competency and also like thoughtfulness of like whether or not they're paying any attention to what they're even doing, and also just like the sheer just fucking annoyingness it is to like try to use a smart TV to use YouTube. Oh, yeah. Like typing shit on a fucking like WASD style like you're arrow keying around a shitty keyboard that then like it's like that it might even be sorted fucking alphabetically instead of QWERTY, and then like you have to, every time you press it, you have to press it like 4 times because you're to register, because it's like not working half the time, and it's like even if it works every time, it's like like the input feels weirdly laggy and slow, and it's like it's agony to look things up. So it's just like it just becomes like meat, and then like videos just happen after that automatically, like Netflix auto playing.
Yeah.
So like trying to explain like my work schedule, or the idea that like what if they've never followed a series of any kind on YouTube, the idea that even like one creator persistently exists on YouTube is like a foreign concept, because it's just like a weird amalgam of random videos.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. It's just weird because for me, my experience in YouTube is sort of the opposite. It's like, do you watch this creator that making a house out of nothing in Indonesia? Yeah. Well, guess what? You're gonna watch that for the rest of the pandemic. Do you? Oh, yeah. I see you like this restoration of this 100-year-old thing. Guess what? We have this thing made out of stone. Just like, yeah. I mean, it's from the same. What I mean to say is, it's the same creator.
My sidebar. If I watch like 2 videos from one creator, it'll try really hard to be then like, just watch that creator until you run out. Like that's what my sidebar usually does. Yeah. And so I watched some Monty Wolf, and then I put one of the clips in the video because it was just perfect for that moment. And then one day I had a headache, and I had already watched the same Monty Wolf video a number of times, because I'd be like, oh yeah, here's the source of that clip I used, and I'd show it to someone or whatever for various reasons. And then I would just sit there and watch it. Like because it's an entertaining enough video that I would finish it, which is funny because they're like, this video is what happens when nothing happens. Like they end on the joke that this was a bad recording or whatever, but it actually like went out. It like ended well in editing or whatever. Who knows? Sometimes you like in the moment feel like a video is going badly and you're wrong. But and that was them, I guess, at least for me, because that's like my favorite one. But because I've done that enough times, like they just always were suggesting more Monty Wolf, and then one day I had a headache and I was like waiting for the headache to end and it wasn't. And I'm like, I can't record until just moves on. And so I just sat there like multitasking and just fucking binged the entire channel. And I finished Monty Wolf, the channel. That's phrasing.
Did he?
That's what just happens. Like every like 6 months, it's like, are you sure? Like every 6 months, it's like, do you want to watch the entire alt-right playbook again by Innuendo Studios, and also maybe all of H Bomber Guy again, just the channel as a completionist? And I'm like, maybe.
I like watching the same 1 hour and a half video on double speed on repeat throughout the day. Usually it's my Tuesdays.
What the fuck?
As I work, I'm just
everything I say about myself is normal, but you're weird and revolting. And I'm terrified of your behaviors.
Look, I know the Fallout 3 video from back to front off the top of my head. I don't actually, but
do you really repeat the same video essay over and over again the same day?
Yeah, like all throughout the day. Yeah. How do you think I watched 12 times your show?
Like a lullaby?
Yeah, like as
I guess that's good for me if people do that. So I guess I should encourage this behavior.
Yes, my behavior.
I should have a memory test at the end of each video, and like if you don't do it, you got to watch it again.
What minute did Keith wink at the camera?
People don't. Those are Easter eggs that people don't notice because they don't watch a lot of YouTube videos that are a lot of talking. They're not actually looking at the screen.
Yeah.
So it's funny
did
that
Monty end up commenting?
Marty specifically notices that. Did
Monty end up comment on your video, or did you
Monty
not?
Wolf?
Mm-hmm.
I should search. Probably not. Bardic did, which was a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny when people that you feature in a video find it, and in that case are surprised, which means that they didn't find it from people telling them. They found it because they just encountered it and then they were in it. That happened to me once when I watched an SVB video and my Guild Wars 2 footage was in it, and I recognized my character in it. And I'm like, oh, that's just surreal. Like I did like bounce back and compare the footage. I'm like, yeah, that's my guy. That's definitely my little weird mushroom man. No, Monty doesn't bring up anybody when I search it. So I don't think he responded to it. You also never know who watched stuff versus who commented on it and so on.
Maybe he made a post on his Tweeter.
Or secondary account, like I have. That's all my flamey
like 6
comments.
burner accounts.
My secondary account.
Mm-hmm.
Keith doesn't know what it is.
Well, I hope not.
I have several accounts. I have the essay account and the Let's Play account, and then I've got a burner phone account where I upload everything to see if it's gonna strike me when I upload it.
Speaking of which, do you? I saw early on people being like, "Oh, boring, Keith. You're gonna need to change your channel name. It's not boring at all." And I was like, "Oh, that's I didn't think about that." And did you think about that? Did you see those comments?
Why would he change his channel?
I mean, they said that the first video.
Oh, okay.
Like they said that from the get-go. That's just
you stuck to your guns.
Say. I don't know.
I think it worked.
I mean, my main channel is just my name. Like the creativity of the branding isn't exactly like going out the window here. And I think on Fur Affinity, there's like a little field you can enter that's like your title or whatever, and mine just says "Celebrate Boring." I think boring. I like diving into stuff that people would consider boring. It's like everything I make is something where if you try to explain to a random person what the thing's even about, they're like, I don't want to watch that video. What the fuck? It's like that's where I thrive. I make Let's Plays that are specifically in the style that's boring. Like that's all of my content is the boring version of things, and that's why people like it to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously they don't find it boring, they find it compelling, but like it's the boring thing. Puzzle games are boring. Like as a rule, just universally, that's like the space they exist in. They're not like they're not Call of Duty fucking Mile High Club.
I honestly I think it's the opposite. But I agree that people would think think that puzzle game.
Oh yeah, no, I think that everything that people find exciting is boring.
Yeah, I was watching. I don't know.
Backwards.
I don't know what game I was watching, but it was like a 18-minute, like well edited highlight sort of, like all action multiplayer, sort of like really well produced video from a game with people being funny, and like I had a couple of good laughs on the first 3 minutes, and then I realized that it was all the same edits like that, and I'm sure there were going to be other laughs, but it's no, I'm exhausted. No, I'm going to watch the Fallout 3 video again. Thank you.
Yeah, like a relatively, I think that people generally would consider to be boring. I can sit down and watch for like 2.5 hours and it'll like breeze by. And like the number of essays I consume where somebody's just fucking sitting on a couch like Sarah Zed, and I'm like, oh fuck, I got through the whole. I was supposed to be doing something, but then like I can watch a 10-minute video that's supposed to be entertaining, then like that people recommend to me, and like it feels like it's forever. It won't stop. Like I'm like, why is this video so long? And it's like it's only 13 minutes long. I'm like, it feels like I've been here since I was born. Why won't it end?
I agree. That's
perception of time's fucked.
It's not time though. Like I watch restoration videos that nobody talks. It's just people working machines, and like sanding down rusty bits, and putting, it's about as boring as it gets. It's the closest you get to watching paint dry on YouTube is watching restoration videos, and I'm like gripped to the screen, and it's like therapeutic. Like I fix all my shit at home because I watch those videos. It's incredible.
They push you into action.
They push it, yeah. Like you said, underneath your bed, it's full of a guitar band, or no, wait, which one? How is it called? Is it metal?
It's rock. It's Guitar Hero and Rock Band.
Guitar. Yes, those two peripherals. But underneath my bed is just tools and like tools. It's just tools down there because of things that I'm. It's like, okay, today I'm fixing the hinges on my bedroom door. What do I need for that? And then, or whatever, But yeah, I will say that I do fall asleep watching Sudoku videos, but they're not boring. They're good. I just fall asleep.
It's like I've never successfully fallen asleep to a video on purpose.
Oh, I don't do it on purpose. It's just
what? People say they do that to my content, on the Let's Plays and so on, and like people just like fall asleep to YouTube a lot, and like that's it's not like. Not like, oh no, not like an insult or an accident, but like they specifically like that's their routine is they fall asleep to YouTube, and I'm like, I don't know how you do that. Because during my like sleep struggles in the past, I've tried like I'll put on this essay or something, and it's like I can't.
What's the essay?
All I'm gonna do is finish the essay. Yeah, and I'll be like I'll be listening to it, like not looking at it, and so on, just laying in bed staring at the ceiling, and I'll just become wildly aware of how far in the essay I'm getting. I'm like, this isn't working at all.
Give it a shot. Sudoku videos. I promise you.
And of course, I'll do ones that I've watched too much because I'm not going to I don't want to experience a new essay that way.
Oh, yeah. But Sudoku videos are good. The ones that you haven't watched, because then you're thinking, and the thinking tires you out, and it's good. I promise you. It's amazing. I mean, I don't promise you, but I hope it works. Give it a shot.
I don't think for me, Sudoku's too overwhelming. So, like, I don't want to. It's too big when it's the full size.
I put it on double speed, Keith. I put it on double speed and I still fall asleep.
Like the Sudoku's like too overwhelming, and so like I don't want. When I get things where I don't even know where to start, I don't even want to like. I just don't want to look at it anymore. Like what was so addictive about the Sudoku rooms in Escape Simulators because you had a much smaller problem to solve at any given moment.
That's the good thing about the videos is that if you're stuck, which you will be, obviously, especially if you're not used to the puzzles, the solver is just gonna explain the things and go around the things. So you're gonna start to spot new. They're solving whatever they're solving, and you're gonna spot new things.
If they're talking, I just won't try to solve it. I'll just watch.
That's not.
It's like trying to read when someone's talking. I can't do that.
That's not my experience. My experience is like the backseat gaming of a Let's Play YouTube.
I've like never done that.
Yeah, you don't watch Let's Plays, Keith.
But like even when I do, I'm just like hanging out. Like, oh, what are they doing? Look at them go.
You're not judging them for them not using the correct weapon on that the Crystallian fight.
Not most of the time. There's every now and then there's something that stands out, or the what is it? I'm judging Aaron a bit in the Game Grumps Elden Ring playthrough just because I'm so far ahead that I'm like, there's choices he makes that are odd, and also just like elements of like, I can just tell how checked out he is because he's like hanging out and chatting, and so I can just see his gameplay, and I'm like, it's like drunken gaming, like he's like just barely holding it together, and just the combination of like I've definitely seen him like put up a shield and circle strafe to try to backstab people as like a dominant strategy for a while. I'm like, no. It's not that kind of game most of the time. A lot of openings
and it's
that
also
are,
really
that are
boring if you do
wasted
that.
when you could just attack.
Yeah.
But most of the time it's like I don't even know what kind of game it takes. Most games I won't even look at the screen. Sometimes when people are competing, I guess, with each other. Other times it's just like I'm just hanging out listening to commentary.
Mm-hmm.
That's
why I try to fill the silence, is because I know people do that, and I do that as well. But the feeling the silence in Dark Souls is difficult because it's usually a mixture of, hello, do you want to party? Ow, that hurt. Oh, I'm really bad.
Don't bring the sins of 2013 back to me. My fucking commentary routine.
No, that's my routine apart from the do you want to party?
What I was gonna say, like, did you start saying what I said in 2013 to every enemy?
No, because I do that apart from the do you want to party? I realize that's the good thing about editing. Like I can cut out all the times I say hello not all the times, but half of them that I say hello at the beginning of a fight because it's just so annoying. It annoys me, so it must annoy other people as well. So it's just like, okay, I didn't say that.
I can't even imagine going through and micro editing all of your fucking commentary for a Let's Play. That's too much.
Oh, it's better on the time.
Just think of all the things you could do instead with your life in that time.
I like it. I don't know. It's less pressure when you're actually playing because you can, like, for example, did you misspeak a line? Did you say a joke that landed really poorly because you said the same syllable?
I just embrace that. I just go
And then, like, did you ramble and do you stutter and did you miss? Like, did you have?
Yes, that's just how I talk.
Cut it out. Cut it out.
No, that's just who I am. I tried. So I fell down this rabbit hole of trying to fucking because like Outlast 1, I would, my original playthrough was Outlast on the entire channel, and every time I got any document, I would read it perfectly. By which I mean I would fucking start over every time I fucked up, and then edit all of them out. And there was one particular document that really fucked me up because something about its like font and how it was phrased was just a nightmare. And so I just sat there for like 10 minutes just rereading it over and over again. Wow. And I did a fair amount of that in Dragon Age Inquisition. I was trying to read the entire codex and like put them at the end of episodes or something here and there. And like I wanted to cut out every single mistake I made during reading them, and I'm just like I'm done. I'm so done. Fuck it. It's not worth it.
Yeah, I don't go to those extents because also I'm not very good at reading, but it's easier on the spot, I feel. When it's on the spot, what I mean is when you're actually playing, it's easier for if you're like, okay, I have the safety blank.
Perfection, Colonel RPG.
I don't know. I'm beating Dark Souls faster than you are, and I'm not Dark Souls, Elden Ring faster than you are, and I'm killing every enemy. So
I took a month off.
No, you did.
I literally took an entire month off to record my video or make my video essay. Mainly because I realized that the next video was going to come out the day after my birthday. So I was like, well, my goal was to put this video out on my birthday. So the context of this video changes a bit depending on whether or not I hit my freaking coming out as a gay furry scheduled goal deadline. Yeah, there's the word. Deadline. I'm like, there's a term that I'm trying to find. So it was all hinging on whether or not I met my deadline, which I did. Would change my behavior a bit. But then yeah, like I beat Radon, and then I didn't play the game for a month, and I wanted to play the game. I played it nonstop up to that point. I'm playing it again a lot now, but that was a solid month of not playing a game that I looked forward to all year.
Mm-hmm.
But I also finished a project that I looked forward to all year, so life goals.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say at the beginning, you say you weren't expecting this amount of views, and that's reasonable to not expect it. But also,
I mean, I have been on the platform for over a decade, and this is a new experience. So,
but on the other hand,
living based on pattern recognition, it's a surprise.
It's a 3 more plus hour long, extremely well edited and extremely well written essay.
Well, first of all, I didn't think those were true, so that'll answer some questions.
But
the whole time I'm editing, I hate the way I speak, and I hate how I deliver almost every line. And there's all these moments where I even just try to cut out the parts where you can hear me breathe. Like I hate it. When you go through the entire process of editing you hate yourself and everything of how you said everything. And I'm like, really? You did that line? I know because I edited. I'm like, I know you just did that line over and over again for fucking 5 minutes straight, and that's the one where you finally think you did it, and it was still bad. That's the line where you thought you could move on. What's wrong with you? Like it's just hours of that.
I can understand why. Okay, yeah, but it doesn't come across as that.
Yeah, I know. This is the thing. It's like it's why I say that every time a video comes out, I find out whether or not I like it based on how people react to it. Because because when I'm making them, I hate them. It's a process. I usually hit a high point where I like the script more. And then the process of making, I'm like, oh, fuck, why is this fucking imperfect vessel have to be between my script and YouTube? Like, this guy's got to deliver this shit. This guy's got to record and edit this and ruin it. The script's good. What the fuck? Then it's like, it usually takes me like a solid week of procrastinating to even start recording because I get like too nervous about the process and then like keep second guessing it and also like finding other things to do. Keep wasting the time instead of recording. Like I had like a bummed out like let's play Monster Hunter Rise all day because I just with Enro where I just decided like I'm not hitting my fucking deadline. There's no way. I hadn't even started recording yet and I'm like this is fucked. The pressure of the deadline's like looming and I'm like there's no way I will make this. And then the next day after that day of doing absolutely nothing I then started recording.
Yeah,
it was when I was resigned to failure that I succeeded.
I think I can understand that. I've been there as well, where like you give up. It's like giving up, but it's not because you spend the whole day not doing anything, but you have a fallback, and it's like, oh, that felt good. Like in my head anyway, when that happens to me, that felt good not doing anything. Let's do a lot today, because I imagine for Let's Plays, it's definitely the case that you need to be in the mind space to do a Let's Play. But I imagine it's the same thing for saying lines.
For recording or for it's for recording and it's for editing. Well, editing you can kind of do whenever. But scripting is like, oh fuck, you have to be ready to try to script too. It's like it's just a whole thing. And yeah, like if you're in the wrong, you can feel like a weird block when you're trying to record at Let's Plays where it's just like I just can't. I'm like not in the right mood for it. And then sometimes like the moment you start, it just fixes itself, and sometimes it doesn't. And that's a dangerous gamble because you're already recording. And with how games work, the fact that you're recording might mean that you can't like undo the part of the game you just did. So you just have to like leave it in.
Unless you edit, Keith, and just pretend.
No.
I notice
I've already tried replacing bad commentary with better commentary in post before and pretending that I'm playing it, and it's not fun.
Oh, I'm not saying replacing. I'm just saying like making it a little bit better. Sometimes like just a little bit less silence here, a cut here and there. Maybe you said an and going up the ladder now.
You think I'm cheating every time there's any cut ever? If I fill the whole video with a bunch of weird cuts, they're gonna be like, "What the fuck is happening in this video?" It would be so divergent from how my videos work.
That's fair. I'm not honestly suggesting that you change your
that'd
completely.
Be super weird.
I learned that the hard way when I played The Witness. Is that you just do like especially puzzle games, don't cut. Even if you sit there for like 20 hours trying to figure out something, don't cut it. Just leave it in because everyone assumes that you're cheating. Like they'll just immediately be like, "Why'd you cut? What did you cut for? Did you look up the answers?" Like, no, man, I didn't want to like bore you with like 30 fucking minutes of me just quietly sitting there, being frustrated, staring at a screen, not doing anything because I'm just like, I don't get it. I don't get what's happening. I don't understand it. Please, just brain work. Like, do you want that in there? I don't get it. Do you want that content?
Sometimes I'll just put the screen really still, and then I will just stop.
Fade. Yeah, you just like
and I'll just stare at it. And like if I crossfade it, they won't see the cut. And then there's just no fucking weird questions about it. Because like sometimes it's just like someone knocks on my door, or sometimes I gotta use the restroom, and sometimes I'm just like, I've been stuck for 5 minutes and that's too much time on this thing that I'm confused about. I've got to just sit here and like lay down or something and see if I can think of anything, because otherwise I'm just gonna be stuck here for another 10 minutes. And when you're in the middle of trying to solve something, you'll often just start just like taking the same 3 approaches to the solution over and over again on a loop, and just redoing the same mistakes forever, and not knowing where you're even missing the thing that you could even start doing. And also like you're commentating, so you're just saying the same things and looping, and it's just bad, and you're trying to make good content. But if you have a visible cut, then everyone's like, oh my god, you just looked it up. So then it's like, all right, cool, it's fucking.
But you do cuts in the Witness solutions. Keith.
It's a variety.
Yeah.
There's cuts you know of and cuts you don't.
See them. I can tell.
Not always. There are always more cuts than people think there are.
The shadows move a little. And you add like a fade in and a fade out, but it's not a fade in, it's like a
fade in and fade out. Yeah, that'd be pretty obvious if the screen fades.
That would, yeah.
Fades back in.
What is it called when you like merge the 2 images?
A crossfade, I guess.
Crossfade. That's
what's called on the audio, at least. I don't.
Yeah.
Anyway, we gotta wrap up. Any final things you want to
say? Congratulations on coming out, Keith. I know I said it on Twitter, and I know I said it on the comments as well, and I think I said it in private when you did. But
did the thing. I have banned fewer people than expected.
And also, yes, congratulations on having an amazing community, because the comments are, well, they're shifting a little bit over the days. I think
because they're outsiders at this point.
Yeah,
we've got the algorithm is like, all right, here's all of your subscribers. Okay, here's all the furries we've decided to give this to, because your subscribers gave this video enough attention that it's now like worthy of viewership, and so it's going to get picked up. And that's when it reached all the furries. And then when it like started maxing out on furries, now it's just like, we're going to try some other people, and they're not going to handle it well.
Oh, I haven't seen recent comments of people just like getting the mad.
It's all over the. I mean, I haven't even looked at the comments for like 5 days, because now it's the backlog of comments is looming of like how far behind I am, and I'm like, oh fuck, because like I have to go to the comments dashboard and just scroll down until I see like a heart on a comment or place I responded, and then try to figure out where I left off. And it's so many. But it's I don't know. A lot of it's what I expected too, like people being like, oh, you like people just call queer people groomers. That's just like their go-to approach. It's like, all right, well, you're banned and you're banned. I like the God guy. That guy's really funny. The guy that's trying really hard to scare me about the devil, but he's just making him sound hot. That's an incredible thread. I love him.
Have you like inside?
You just keep telling him the devil's got vibrations that make you want to do unholy things. I'm like, yeah.
Isn't that a song about that?
I don't. Probably.
Good, yeah, good vibrations.
That sounds rife for content.
Yeah.
That sounds dangerous. I don't know.
Yes. Send your questions to dialogchoicespodcast@gmail.com. Dialogue is spelled like how the name of this is spelled. Don't do the other one. I don't know where those go. Thanks for watching like always, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye. Goodbye.